peppermint, sorrel, ginger, beaver grass, or English. Get it ready. Your morning tea just got hotter.
Ooh, honey child.
On the cold, hard truth, Bobo 89.1 and Cayman's #1 talk show are bringing you morning talk like no one else. Monday Rewind, Impact Wednesdays, Caribbean Connections, and much more. Don't miss a beat with what's happening in the local community. Just keep sipping your tea.
What a mess.
Here's your host, live and direct from the Cayman Islands, Sandy Hill.
All right, folks. Good morning. Good morning. Happy hump day. I do believe it is Wednesday. We got a little bit of a change in the schedule this morning, but no worries. We know how to work with the flow and just keep moving. Keep it moving. So I'll tell you guys about that here in just a second. So happy Wednesday, August the 24th. Yes, we're moving straight through the month of August. I believe we have another week left. Is that right? Yeah, exactly 1 week until the 31st. And then bloop, August is done just like that. And we're moving into what is the peak of hurricane season. Super interesting. It's been relatively quiet, but Kevin said he's watching a system. So we're going to keep an eye out on that. Big shout out to the guys over at Home Gas. They have sponsored our hurricane watch this year. So bringing you all of the latest news. And Kevin actually has a hurricane special, which is coming up in a few days' time. So make sure you remember, I mean, so far it's been relatively quiet, but don't let it catch you off guard. Always be prepared because we do live in a climate where these things can pop up overnight. You know that normally in September, I feel like the systems that are of most concern are the ones that pop up right around us. And so they give you little to no notice. I noticed today is a little bit of a rainy day. Looks like we got some weather coming our way. We had some rain yesterday into the evening and afternoon as well. So, you know, we get these thunderstorms in the summertime. When we got home last night, folks, I was like, oh my gosh, it started to thunder. And I said, Gigi, you got to hurry up and get your bath because it's thundering and there's a storm coming. And I said, you don't want to get hit by lightning now, honey child. And I said, the pipes act as a conduit. She's like, well, what does a conduit mean? I got to remember sometimes I'm still talking to a 6-year-old, but hey, she's learning new words all the time. So I don't try to talk to her in baby talk. I just try to have normal conversations. And if she doesn't know a word, she knows to simply ask. And I do my best to kind of explain it then in a way that she will understand. So good morning to Siobhan. Siobhan's the first one out of the barn this morning. Good morning to Felicia. Diamond Princess is here. Siobhan says, loving your top. Thank you. Yes, you guys know I kind of refreshed the wardrobe couple trips now to Miami since the reopening of the borders. And I'm still in the process. I still feel like I had gone so long without doing that there's a lot of stuff in the closet, honey child, that just needs to come out. So yeah, some new colors, some different patterns. And I love that you guys notice it. Like you guys are really on top of things. You're like, that top looks different and fresh and interesting. So I know a couple of shows ago, more than a couple of shows ago now, I was telling you guys about this this facial, it comes in a little capsule that I use. And someone had asked me the name of it. And I don't think I ever told you, but this one is called Healthy Skin. It has vitamin E and aloe vera, just a lotion. And basically they come in breakable capsules that look like this. They're little capsules. And oops, I dropped that one. Okay, I'll have to find it later. Oh gosh, I've lost it behind the board. Oh, there it is. So I wanted to show you guys the little bottle, but these are fantastic because there it is. I like the little capsules that they come in, and they're very, very like rich for the face. So it's just basically aloe vera and vitamin E, and aloe vera does wonders for your skin. and so does vitamin E. It says for your scars and wrinkles, which I don't have either one on my face, thankfully. But I do have very, very dry skin. My skin feels like I'm always dry, and I'm trying to do better with the water consumption, drinking more water, because I know that that's definitely a contributing factor. So, oops, I'm so sorry. All that background noise. But in the mornings, I take one of these out and I just snip off the little piece in the capsule, and then I just moisturize my face. Yeah, after giving it a nice wash in the mornings. So I find that these have so much, although they're like little tiny capsules, they really do have and the lower area of my face for me tends to be very dry, like my chin and around my lips. But yes, I must say that they have so much in the little capsule that you can use it more than once. So I use a little bit and then I put the capsule down where my daughter can't find it. And then, because it's very, very concentrated. And then, yeah, then tomorrow I can get another use out of what's the remainder of the capsule. So they go a long ways, I'm telling you. I see that I'm getting down to the bottom of my jar there. So I probably need to order some. I'll have to look on Amazon and see if they have them available. But yeah, these are fantastic, folks. So moisturize. Moisture is really, really important. Sometimes you've got to do it from the inside out and from the outside in. So I try to do it both ways, although I know for sure I need to be drinking more water every single day. We live in the tropics and it gets hot and you get dehydrated. And by the time you're thirsty, you're already dehydrated. So sip some water this morning. All right. Irvlyn, good morning to you. Scott has got it locked. Good morning, Cayman Detailing. So one of the things that we do that you guys may not have noticed is that every show that we have here on social media, we do a post on the website as well. Because sometimes I know people don't get to listen or they want to go back and listen to it. And if you're listening on the radio in particular, there's no way to hit a rewind button on the radio, right? You can't pause it and then go back. I feel like one day maybe that'll come in the world of technology, but it's not there yet. So if you ever find yourself going, oh man, I missed last week's show, I'd love to be able to go and watch it, and you're not really that well versed on social media perhaps, and you want to go back, just go to the website. And there's an entire section called The Cold Hard Truth. And in that section, you will find all of the shows, right? So last night I was up until, oh God, I stayed up too late last night. That was not my intention, but I was up quite late working on uploading a few because I hadn't done any since last week, Thursday. So I'm all caught up now. The show is up until yesterday. So in the post, I give you both the Facebook link, which I think you can, if it's embedded, which sometimes Facebook is a little bit weird, but if it's embedded, then you can, sorry, you can watch it directly from the post. Sometimes Facebook will say, oh, there's some reason why it can't be embedded, but you can go to Facebook and watch it. Facebook can be super weird. So that's a possibility. And then, yes. And then, and then you can also go to YouTube. So we do have, YouTube channel, over 4,000 followers, not a lot of people on YouTube, but we are in YouTube. And then you can also, go to YouTube and have a look there as well. So, good stuff. Yeah. All right. So we got a lot to talk about today. We were supposed to have a guest coming on talking about budgeting and finance, but he got quite busy, and that's okay because, to be honest, we have so much to talk about that I honestly don't mind him rescheduling. We do have Minister of Health and Wellness and Home Affairs, Ms. Sabrina Turner, who's going to jump on for a little bit this morning and talk about a few things that have been going on within her ministry and in her district. And then we got some really serious topics that we need to discuss this morning as well. Normally I start at the show with a little bit of an icebreaker. I tell y'all what's going on with me, how my night went, hopefully asking how your night went, doing our morning greetings, because sometimes the topics are so heavy that to just start off boom, the second 7:30 hits, I feel like you're not ready. You need to take a couple sips of your coffee, your tea. Some of y'all might be drinking a glass of wine this early in the morning. Who knows? You might be kind of stressed out. I feel like that's necessary to give you a little bit of a breather. So Cayman Detailing is here. Victoria, so good to see you. Marshall joining us. Marshall, today I need to contact your winner from yesterday. I haven't done that as yet. Miss Iva says good morning to all of you guys. Charm is also here. She's watching on YouTube. How are you watching on YouTube but commenting on Facebook? That's a first. So as you know, you can comment in different ways. So let me remind people, because there's a lot that happens, I feel like, so listen, you can log on to YouTube. You can watch it from YouTube. And obviously you can comment. You can watch it on Facebook and you can send in your comments on Facebook. You can even WhatsApp the WhatsApp number. WhatsApp sometimes take a little bit less of a priority. As you know, I have my own personal WhatsApp number, and then there's one for the show. So sometimes I try to go between, but the show WhatsApp is 936-2626, the same number that you can call in. So you can also obviously call into the program. And I'm very, very much aware that a lot of you simply listen to the show on radio on Bobo 89.1 FM as well. So good morning to Miss Desiree, Miss Mornez here, Rianne, so good to see you. Miss Joy joining us from Texas. Barbara's got it locked. Morna says, can you get them here? I have never seen these here. I can't remember where I originally purchased them because, like I said, they last so long that I can't remember. But let me just see. I'll bring one in for you, Miss Morna. Let me just see. One of the wonderful things, you guys know I love me an Amazon show. Me and Amazon are like BFFs. Is Amazon has this feature where they have an app that you can put on your phone, and then you can scan barcodes. And if Amazon has it available, it shows up in the barcodes. Yeah. So this actually is 60. I thought it said 50. Gosh, child, I still need reading glasses. It actually says 60 breakable caps. So they have a pack for, looks like they're about $24. Don't remember it being that expensive. So it says here, because Amazon also tells you other sellers in Amazon. So one person has it for $23 and change. Another person has it for $15.04. And that's with Prime 1 day. So that's some company called General Wholesale Warehouse. And you got to look at how many stars the companies get as well. So they have 96% positive views over the last 12 months. So that's good. So I'll add that one to my cart. That's a little bit of savings, y'all. We got to be about our coins. So just got to make sure it's the same brand and everything. Yep. So imagine that. One company selling it for $23 and change, and somebody else selling it for $15. And wait a minute. The one that's more expensive is actually, let me enlarge this image, is only 40 breakable caps. Now, y'all know you got to be smart as a consumer and you got to look at the details. So they're selling 40 caps for $23.98, and I can get 60 caps for $15 and change. Well, this is why you got to be smart when you shop, honey chill, because the better deal is the cheaper one that gets you more capsules, and it's the exact same brand. What? All sorts of factors play into why a company may be getting something at a particular price. So, girl, let's add another one to the cart, Miss Morna. I'll get you one. All right. So we're good to go. You got to be smart as a consumer. Hello, Tracy, joining us from New Zealand, where it is the early hours of the morning. She's staying up late tonight. Evangelist Olafima, so good to see you. Says, I know it's not the subject of the day, but please wish me a happy birthday from London. Hey, happy birthday to you. I can't sing. I have no tune, no nothing when it comes to singing, but hold on. We got a birthday song in here somewhere. Where's my birthday song? Where is it? Happy birthday. Yeah, there we go. Oops. What did I do? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. There you go. Happy birthday, darling. I can see you're born in the month of August like me. Miss Vernita's here giving thanks for life and everything. Sandra, good morning. She says that sometimes you can find them at the drugstore. Have you seen them here? Yeah, I cannot remember where I originally bought them, but they really, really work well. And they have a nice pleasant smell as well, which is nice when you're putting something on your face. She Evangelist says, you're looking very beautiful today, my sister. Oh, thank you. Wee Wee's got it locked. Jonathan is here. Jonathan says that's pure snake oil in that capsule. Break off a piece of real aloe and rub that on. Can I tell you something about aloe? I had a dog a long time ago. His name was Oscar. Sometimes you might hear me refer to Oscar and Rupert. He was like my first dog that I got as an adult. So it was like a big decision. I'm in university and I've always loved dogs. My aunt had a dog. I grew up with a dog in my house. His name was Prince. He was black and white and really, really protective. And so, a friend had a dog that had a litter. And of course, I was attracted to the runt of the litter, always for the underdog, Joe. And so I saw this little, but he had such a personality. Like, although he was the runt of the litter, like he's the one who like came out and sort of greeted everybody first, right? And so I was like, oh, can I have this puppy? I want a puppy. He was like 8 weeks old. I'm like, can I have him? And the guy was like, okay. So I got my first dog as an adult, and oh my gosh, I loved my dog. And then a year later, I got the other dog, Rupert, as sort of a companion for Oscar. But Oscar was special. I often would say that he was the type of dog that only a mother could love. And he taught me so much about unconditional love. And in some ways, I feel like pets prepare you to be a real parent, like of a child, because, you just love them no matter what they do. And some animals are very, very challenging. And everybody's always like, oh, it's the owner that's bad. Well, no. Sometimes animals, including dogs and maybe even cats, I'm not a cat person, but sometimes they come with certain genetic predispositions, where they might be a little bit crazy. I'm going to be honest with you. And they may have issues. So Oscar was one of those dogs that, as sweet as he was, he had a little bit of a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde personality. Yeah, he was passive aggressive. That would be the clinical term for what Oscar was. So maybe Oscar was preparing me for passive aggressive people in my life, which I would meet later on for sure. But he was a little bit passive aggressive. So even as a puppy, he was the easiest puppy to potty train. I mean, no issues whatsoever. But he's also the type of dog that if you weren't paying him attention, or, he wasn't like the center of attention, he would literally come to you in the kitchen and just pee on your foot. That's the kind of dog that he was. And you'd be like, dog, you're potty trained. What are you doing? So that was Oscar. So he's done that before. He's not the kind of dog that you would ever want to yell at, because although he was only 35 pounds, a little bit scrawny, he loved the water, by the way. Like, we taught him, I don't know if you really teach dogs how to swim, but we exposed our dogs to water before bringing them, because I brought them into Cayman. So before bringing them here, I would make them go swimming in the lake and whatever in Tampa. And they became like true water dogs. Like, not a word of lie. You would say the word beach and they were both by the front door. And they were so smart. They had very different personalities. Rupert was a Labrador mix and Oscar was a terrier mix, right? Mutts basically, but they had predominant, traits of their, like, Rupert was very, very Labrador-like. And so Oscar had a kind of like the stringy hair that almost looked like he was always wet. And so they got to the point, especially Rupert. Rupert was so smart. Oh my God, smartest dog I've ever had. But literally, you would spell the word and he would know that you were spelling the word beach. So he knew beach and he knew outside, both by saying it and spelling it. And I would play with them all the time. Like, I'd be sitting there watching TV, because nobody believes me when they're like, oh, a dog knows how to spell. Sandy's crazy. So I would like test it myself, because I'm like, there's no way that these dogs, like, it has to be a tone in the voice. It has to be something else that gives away what it is, right? So I would sit on the sofa just randomly, minding my own business, flipping through channels. And then I would say O-U-T, just very monotone. And Rupert was always a smart one, like I said. So he would sit up, his ears would perk up, but it's like you had to complete the word for him to know that it was outside. So if you said O-U-T, it would get him interested. He would sit up, his ears would go up, and he'd look at you. And if you just stopped after a couple seconds, he would lie back down. But if you finished the word, he was by the front door, like, oh, we're going outside. Let's go. So they knew the word beach, outside. I feel like there's one or two others that they knew as well, but definitely those two. And so it was always hilarious to kind of play with them a little bit, be like, oh, you want to go to the beach? And they're like, yep, by the front door. So Lavana, good morning to you. Bishop Hero Blair joining us this morning from Orlando. Good morning to Kevin. Anja is here from Germany. Hey, Anja, how is it there in Germany? Richard is also joining us from Round Rock, Texas. Good to see you, Richard. Jose is in the house, joining us from Manzanillo. Yes, Cuba. What? Cuba's in the house today. Buenos dias, Jose. ¿Cómo estás? Dean is here from the Cayman Islands. Juanita. Lavana says, any suggestions where I can buy a nice pearl necklace for my sister? Well, Cayman has more jewelry stores than Quaker has oats. Is this your sister that has recently passed away, Lavana? I'm so sorry. Suggestions for nice pearl necklace. Does anybody have? I mean, there's so many different types of pearls, of course, depending on your budget. I would leave it with me. If you guys have any suggestions, put it in the comment section for Lavana for sure. And we can think of some, but we have a lot of jewelry stores here. It probably just depends on your budget. So she says, yes, it's for her sister. Oh, so are you intending to, this might sound like a really strange question, but you're actually going to put it on her for the burial, for the ceremony? Talk to me. I'll check some of my sources. So Miss Vernita says, Sandy, I love the blouse. I have bright colors because I'm a bright person, even through the pain. Girl, you got to spruce it up. Good morning to Shirley Rolston. She's here. She says, good morning. Happy hump day. Yeah, colors do wonders for you folks. Engage in colors. I have a lot of black in my closet though, but I think, why not put on some colors? Everybody looks good in colors. Like it doesn't matter what your skin tone is. Some colors might look better in you, but color's good. So Salita says, try Finishing Touch. I don't know where Finishing Touch is. Where is that? But yeah, Cayman has a lot of jewelry stores. I mean, there's tons. It probably just depends on exactly what type of pearl you're looking for and your actual budget as well. Okay. So over 300 people on the live stream. Let's give Miss Sabrina a little bit of time because we have a lot to cover today. So like I was saying, I'm really quite happy that our other guest isn't coming on. He got busy. But, later on in the program, we're going to be discussing the situation in the Brac. And I need like a whole block of time for that. So thank you. Someone has just reminded me that today is National Waffle Day in the US. Yes, there's a day for everything. So National Waffle Day, it says, pass the syrup. We'll welcome any occasion to indulge in the iconic international treat. So Scott, I have a question for you. What are you guys doing at Waffle Monkey for National Waffle Day? Is there anything special that's on the menu today? Are you doing like a special waffle? They've always got tons of, like it's a big menu of waffles, right? But yeah, let me know if you're doing anything fun. So go check out Waffle Monkey in celebration of National Waffle Day. So I don't understand this message. Why you close up to? Oh, someone's saying I'm too close to the mic. This is how it always is. Are you sure you've been watching us? I don't tend to move the mic. It's always in the same position. And I've got what's called a pop filter actually that's in front of the mic. So is it because I'm too loud or are you just looking at the picture and it looks like I'm close to the mic? I don't know. All right, we got a call this morning. Let's take the first caller of the morning. Good morning, caller, and welcome to the Cold Hard Truth. Hello?
Hello.
Oh, there you are. Good morning.
Good morning, Sandra. How are you?
Oh, Minister, I thought you were gonna. For some reason, I was expecting you to come in on the live stream so we could see you, but no problem. Um,
Oh, sorry.
yes, yes, yes. That's okay. We always have multiple ways of joining. Maybe you weren't camera ready. I hadn't even thought of that, to be honest.
Well,
Um,
that too, partially.
no worries. So, good morning, Minister Turner. Thank you so much for joining us. So, a lot has been going on recently. So, let us first begin
Hmm.
with recapping how your summer camp program was, because I know you've been really busy at the constituency
Yes,
level, and
that's
you had
correct.
your summer camp. So, give us a little brief update on how that went.
The summer camp, thank you again, and to your listening and viewing audience, the summer camp was a huge success. I think that all the children in attendance, and we were holding approximately 46 to, I think, the highest number we had at 53 one day. And all the kids that attended the whole experience and what the kids took away in hindsight now, they were blown off their feet. Parents were so grateful for knowing that their kids were at a safe place and knew that they were given 3 square meals. And the biggest takeaway is that this camp was totally free. This was my way of giving back, understanding the cost of having children home, making sure if you don't have someone to take care of the children while you're at work as a parent, that there was no worries there. It started from 8 until 3:30. Sometimes parents got a little late, quarter to 4. We can give and take with that. But they got breakfast, they got lunch, and in the afternoon they were given a very healthy snack to go home with, and the tours, the field trips, and the educational background that it gained. And huge thanks to my volunteers. We had some young adults who came back from school that also volunteered their time, and to the constituency office, small yet mighty team. Then we had some of those parents who really realized, wow, Team Prospect is really doing this for free. How is this even possible? And then we had those who either sponsored a field trip when they realized it was really out of pocket, because they saw the impact that it was having on the children. And some parents even volunteered on giving some snacks and stuff like that. Family and friends, they gave snacks, fruit, and all that. So it all came together for good. And I'm very grateful for all of those who put their heart, their soul, gave their time in making it a huge success. I think that next year the demand will be even greater because people either didn't hear me on your show, all of the PR that I did promoting the camp so that you can get into early registration. We ended up taking children from all parts of the island. Kids saw what we were posting. They told their parents, wherever you got me now, I don't want to go back. I want to go to Miss Sabrina's camp. Yes, at a point we have had a waiting list because really, when you look at each constituency or district, a number of my colleagues were having summer camps within their constituencies. So, of course, I roll it out, making sure that the prospect people would have had first preference. But you didn't want to just be that exclusive understanding that we're all one at the end of the day, have a camp just because it was exclusively for prospect, and then no one showed up. So later on, when we realized that people were either traveling with their kids or are already financially committed to other camps, we opened it up to children from Central Georgetown, we even had some from Bodden Town. And I think, if my memory serves me well, as far as Northside, despite Minister Ebanks having his, we had 1 or 2 from Northside as well. So it was a huge success, Sandra.
That is fantastic. And I want to talk about this just a little bit here because we know that you also had your back to school drive. So tell us about how successful that event was.
That now, again, was a huge hit. And lessons learned from last year's back to school, we had a limited amount of school bags because we all know the kids love the JanSport bags because they are tough and they can really go the distance. This year, with supply chain issues and, of course, cost went up, I deliberately shopped local. And where I requested 150 bags, I was only able to get 100. So I put in checks and balances in place where you had to fill out a slip. We had to be assured that you were from the electoral district of Prospect in order to get a knapsack. I had to be that strict. And I'm really happy that I took that approach, because understanding that we have a community where we have Adventists, we have persons who were working and just could not have gotten to us on the Saturday. With that approach, we were able then to have those persons who couldn't make it on the Saturday come between the Monday and the Thursday of the following week to collect their supplies. And we know for a fact that it was going to our Prospect people. But if you came and you were from another area, you didn't leave empty-handed. You could partake of all of the food that we had, the bunks and castles, play with the games, and you were given the opportunity to get school supplies. Even socks were there. But people were really after the bags because they were real JanSport bags. But I was a little disheartened because we had some just came from other areas trying to convince us that they were from Prospect and double dipping, so to speak. And I thought that left a bad taste in my mouth. But I can understand what people do and they want what they want. But I have to be fair to my Prospect people, that they are given first preference, setting aside these children need their supplies to go back to school. What was not committed, we were still able to extend bags to those with what we had left. But right now we've been exhausted, and we're hoping that with all of the other back to school events that those who may have come to Prospect that wasn't from Prospect, whatever supplies we have left where school supplies are concerned, maybe not a bag, that we were able to assist where we could.
Yes. And I mean, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because over the weekend I had someone message me and they said, oh, a lady went to the office at for Georgetown Central, which would be Kenneth Bryan, and they basically were rude to her. And I said, well, you got to give me a little bit more detail than that. Like, I don't know what that means. What do you mean they were rude? And she said, well, they wouldn't give her a bag because she didn't live in the constituency, or wasn't a voter or something like that. And I said, listen, the truth of the matter is there's some people who overdo it. They are, backpack and school supply hogs. They try to take everything when they don't really need. And I'm really encouraging people to focus on what is an actual need versus a want. A lot of times you pack up on all these school supplies and your kids don't even use them for the year. And it's like you're still going out there doing a grab of supplies and backpacks and whatever. And it's like, why? If we as a community really took an approach of, only take what you need, don't take anything more. That gives everybody a fair share. Exactly. Yeah. And it's always those handful of people, because I don't think the majority of people do this, but it's always those handful of people who are just greedy is the best term to describe them. And they want to take everything. So after having, a little bit of a conversation with this individual, I said, all of the constituencies are having to do it because, it ensures a more equitable distribution of the school backpacks and of the school bags and, all the supplies and stuff. I said, let us also be very fair to the MPs. There's only so much that they can do. So you don't have a bottomless pit of money. This isn't a government sponsored initiative. This is coming out of either your own pocket or, if you do any fundraising, if, you've got people who make donations towards these types of things. So it takes money to put these things on. It takes money to get, turkeys and ham and whatever for Christmas and hand out stuff for the kids. And, so people must be respectful of the fact that you guys have a limited budget, because you, just like everybody else, makes a monthly salary. You, just like everybody else, has expenses. You've got mortgages to pay, perhaps car payments. Some MPs still have children that are in schools, and so they've got to make sure that their schools are taken care of. You got a CUC bill too. CUC isn't giving you anything for free,
Oh no! Oh no!
So I just want to remind people to try to be understanding and respectful of the process. And because of the few people who have done this over the years, a lot of the MPs have resorted to having to, have their lists and verify that you're on the list.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
It is lessons learned, because the last time, again, we had just got, well, for myself as a first time elected person, MP, I had never had it on that mass before. I've been involved in the community for years, but it's a different level when you're actually an elected official. And if I had taken the same approach as last year, I can assure you, everything would have been gone within the first half hour. And my people who made it possible for me to get elected to represent Prospect would have gotten little to nothing. If we didn't have the checks and balances in place, I would not have been able to make sure that the people of Prospect had gotten supplies, because they would have been given to even, and I'm sorry to say this, visitors who are visiting for the summer. If we didn't have checks and balances in place, that would have happened. And my kids who are here living in Prospect would have gone, oh, I'm sorry, we're all out.
Wow.
Yes.
That is
so it's
so
because
crazy.
of those checks and balances. And when you ask the necessary questions and they're realizing you're getting deeper, people would say, or may feel as though we're being disrespectful or a little rude or coming off a bit harsh. But that's why we're here to protect and to make sure that our people come first. And that's who we are at Prospect constituency.
Yes.
We take care of our own first.
Right. So Mallory says it would be great if there was something for the 13 to 16 and 17-year-olds, or encouraging them to participate and assist at these summer camps. But the Red Bay MP needs to do more for his constituency. Haven't heard from him since he was elected. Child, he's out on the farm.
For my summer camp, though, I must say I had about 5 who were in that age group.
Yes.
And we were able to give them a little token, a little envelope as an incentive, saying thank you. They helped us with the younger children, getting them in line. And, these were children that weren't even necessarily from Prospect. They just heard of the camp and they were boasting their volunteer shirts. So kudos to those young ladies and gentlemen who went off to play football for our national team, and I was so proud of him. He was so mature, and he came and he executed his duties, and I could see it with the bottom of his heart. So beautiful. Yes, we do involve our young adults, because they are one of the reasons for sure that I put myself in this position.
Now, I want to give you all a perfect example of diplomacy. Did you see how Minister Turner just sidestepped that last comment? Minister, let's move on and talk about...
Sandra.
Yes, ma'am.
I can still give you a deaf ear on that one. What was another takeaway and new for this back to school drive is the free vision testing that we did.
Oh, yes. And you were I think you were the only one who might have incorporated a little element of health. And I like that, obviously as health minister, that's fantastic. So yes, you did all of the kids who came and wanted to do eye exams. You allowed them to...
They could do it from 4 to 11.
Oh, wow. That was so good. So how many, do you know how many children actually had their eyes checked?
I know I'm going to go out on a limb here. I know we had at least 12 when I last checked, because some of the parents came, and to show you the respect, a lot of that was opened for the entire island. And they realized we were doing a back to school drive, but the eye testing was not just limited for Prospect children. And they realized what we were doing. The kids stayed and played, but they didn't come with an expectation of walking away with a bag.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So yeah, that was another big takeaway. So that was the icing on the cake, with giving these children that opportunity to get their eyes tested.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. Because, these are things that sometimes kids need glasses and they might not even recognize it.
They don't know. Yeah. And we found a few. A few were found that they didn't realize their kids were having difficulty seeing until they were tested. And the good thing is, that comes with a cost. And it was free. We did it. You didn't have to worry about insurance. Yes. You didn't have to worry about where am I going to find this money to get at least the first part out of the way.
Right.
They were able to partake in that free of cost.
Beautiful. All right. Now there was something else I was going to say to you when you mentioned that. Oh gosh, it slipped me now. But I think at the end of the day, you've been very, very busy, to say the least, at the
Yes.
constituency level. And,
Hmm.
you're always having different events and stuff for the community. So just remind people of the location of your office and how they can contact your office staff if they have any questions or anything of the sort.
Sure. The office is located 33 Marina Drive, and we're there from 10 o'clock in the
Mhm.
morning until 5:30 in the afternoon. Now, there are days that we will be there a little longer than others, and but that's usually time from 10 o'clock in the morning. We're very active, as you know, Sandra, on social media. We post all the events, so there's no guesswork about what we're doing. And as you rightfully say, whether or not we're functioning as a constituency
Mhm.
office, we are accessible there.
Mhm.
And our phone number at the office is 746 9314. That's 746 9314. And I must say that it has been a shelter and a resource for a number of persons from all constituencies. And I'm going to make it public. A lot of the persons who pulled the door are really not from Prospect. I'm
Mhm.
getting them from other constituencies, and where we can assist, we
Mhm.
will. A lot of people is just navigating, how do I get assistance temporarily? We all know that you have to go through the NAU process first in order to be assessed. Before
Mhm.
example, you get onto Cynical medical insurance coverage. That is the process. So they have now computerized that process, and we're able to assist if it is a case where it's the completion of a form for government services. That's what we're there for. But the reason why each elected member is giving an allowance to run an office is so that they can take care of their people.
Mhm.
Where we are located, we're straddled pretty much between my electoral district, which is Prospect, and the electoral prospect of Red Bay. It's predominantly used by people from all over the island
Mhm.
sometimes
Mhm.
because they realize that people are there, and they
Yes.
can see where they're contacted, and it's actioned as best as we can.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it always happens that way, Minister Turner, where, once you've established a track record of performance, people always come to
Hmm.
you. I mean, I had a lady call me yesterday, this Jamaican lady. She's having some issues. Sounds like a lot of stuff. We had a preliminary conversation. And the first thing she said is, Miss, I'm sure you get a lot of phone calls, but everybody that I speak to says you need to go to Sandy. You need to go to Sandy. She's the one who can help you. And sometimes I
Hmm.
can't help people, but a lot of times I can give them honest advice, or I can just point them in the direction of who can assist them. And a lot of times
Correct.
I find that that's all people want. They just want somebody who's going to answer the phone,
Hmm.
and they're like,
Yeah.
when we call you, when we message you, you respond. And that's like,
Hmm.
sometimes they can't even I get a hold of their own MPs in that way. So I feel you in that, because they know your constituency office has regular hours. Somebody's there, somebody's doing work that I hope y'all don't abuse it. But yes, Sabrina's office is indeed working hard. But I want to remind all of you that every single MP gets an allowance. To have an MP office. If they don't have a physical allowance, they all still take the money, which they can then use to help people in their constituents. So whether it's buying food vouchers, community activities, whatever, all of them get an allowance. And then do ministers get an extra? I'm trying to remember. I think there's something. I
No,
think
ma'am.
ministers get one more office assistant. Is that what was done?
Yes, that's all we get.
Yeah.
And we get ministers, elected ministers get, you're allowed to get two and possibly a part-time, but please remember that this is paid for out of the government's coffers. And
Mhm.
let's clarify the allowance, because again, this is all education and I'm learning as we go. A lot of people, the allowance that we get, I think in people's minds before constituency offices came a thing, that they think the the allowance is to just distribute It is stated in the rule book that is to operate your office, utilities, supplies, the rent. It is not that we're given this money to just carte blanche give out. And what we are doing, instead of isolated cases or making sure that, let's say, one person is always coming for money every week like clockwork, that's not the approach. I try to establish, why are you looking for a handout every day? What is the problem? Can you work? Can we get you the right pathway of getting assistance from government? So some people may be a little upset because that is not the office to distribute cash. We don't have it at our disposal. We're running a properly functioning office. There will be isolated cases. Let's say there's a house fire or someone getting some issues. We will assist in them getting to the NAU services and getting assistance. You know for a fact that in emergency purposes, we have given food packages. But whether or not I have an endless supply of certificates for CUC or food cards, those cards is cash. That cash can go further when I go and I stock up on certain things. Instead of giving one person $200, how far can that $200 go if I get the supplies? I can have a better impact on a much more larger amount of persons within the constituency than in isolation. So we got to make sure that we educate the community that it's just not an ATM machine. That's not what we are in 33 Marina Drive. We are helping those of everyone, and there's a process.
And for those of you who have constituency offices, that is rent that you are paying, and with that comes other, utilities and so
expenses.
Forth.
Yes.
So
I mean, the utility bill for Jura, and I was cringing at the utility bill because the 3-week camp, the doors are opening, the air conditioning, that was close to $900.
Child, we feel you.
And that went from $300 and odd to automatically.
The fuel factor almost doubled as well. But
exactly.
But Minister, I wanted to also ask, are you still having food there available through the food bank? Because there were some people asking yesterday about, they're like,
no.
Okay.
I went to correct you the last time. The food bank, we don't work with the food bank. What we actually distribute is out of pocket.
Okay.
Because we are building our own little pantry.
Oh, okay.
We're building our own little pantry. We have not collabed with anybody else. No.
Right. Okay. Because I know some constituency offices actually have, like, they get food from the food bank, bags of chicken and whatever, and then they kind of
everything that we have ever distributed, outside of that of Christmas, where it's a collective effort, we have done that out of pocket. So it's not that we're collabed with any other organization to help in the distribution. No.
Because believe it or not,
somebody that office.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that someone was asking me yesterday. They said, they see a lot of people doing the back to school stuff, but what about food? And I was like, well, normally, there are options such as NAU, ARC, and so on. But, you shouldn't be in a situation where you're needing a food voucher every single month.
Every week.
Or every week.
No, some is literally every week.
Yeah. I have a few people that keep asking. I had a young lady yesterday that messaged me. And this is quite a number of times now that she's come, and it's always like, oh, I've applied for a job and I'm not getting anything. Can you help me with a food voucher? And I had to say to her, I said, honey, child, this month for me in particular, and again, I'm not an MP, so nobody's given me a $5,000 allowance to help anybody. But at the end of the day, where I can help, I try to help. And I said, this month was rough. I had school fees. I had school uniforms. I'm not taking a backpack from anybody. You know what I'm saying? So plus I also have that CUC bill. And y'all saw my usage yesterday.
Look at the MP. Speaking for myself, if you look straight from Christmas, we had Mother's Day event, we had Easter, we had Father's Day event, we had the three-week camp free of charge. We went straight back into the back to school. The holidays are coming. The people of Prospect cannot say that we are not in tune and making sure that one, your office is functioning and that we don't do things that brings the community together. And this is why I don't want people to feel that anything that we do in that constituency office is only for a certain tier of people. I'm bringing our community together.
Yeah.
And we need to remove that stigma, not because it's given away for free, that you're only given for those who are needy. No, the whole intent is also to bring the electoral district of Prospect together. Let's fellowship. Let's get to know our neighbors. Who's to tell? There could be employers there, business owners there that could find a Caymanian employee. This is what you call networking.
Yep.
So it's just trying to change that stigma of really what a constituency office is all about is the key takeaway from my reign in this political position.
Okay. All right. So let's do a few questions and comments that are coming in. And then I want to talk about the Travel Cayman disbanding and the new regulations and stuff, which actually go into effect today, right? Today is Wednesday.
Yes, today is Wednesday.
Okay, beautiful. So Debbie, good morning. Alice is joining us. Miss Charlene says good morning to the Honorable Minister. Cameron says, don't ever have to say or feel sorry for saying things as they are. Charlene says that's absolutely correct. We have to put a process in place that our Caymanian and resident children are covered first and foremost. There's too much of advantage taken when anything is concerned, not only school supplies. Let's be more focused and aware. Straight talk. Romelia says, good morning, Sandy and Cayman. Sandy, can Minister Turner give any insight on the situation on Paul White? So do anything about a Paul White and what that is. And of course, the minister might not be able to speak to anyone specifically, Romelia, because that would probably fly in the face of confidentiality. But are you familiar with a situation with Mr. Paul White?
No, and I don't think this, whatever the nature is, I don't think it may be the place for it to call anyone out. So my apologies. I'm not aware. I'm not familiar.
All right. So Joyce Ann says that's so true, Sandy. Just wanted to be directed. Charlene says a community allowance. Yes. Cameron says time for you to get an allowance too, Sandy. Well, as y'all know, I am not an elected official and I like it that way. So y'all might be trying to expect too much then for sure. Anya says, where is Minister Chris's office for Boddentown West? Because he doesn't answer the phone. Let me send him this message, Anya. I don't know, and we've had this discussion before on the program, because not every MP has an office. Some of them believe they can just be mobile, which I guess if you're actually answering the phone and you're going to people's houses or whatever, some people like it that way. I don't think that that's the best option personally. But if you are into that, but if you said he's not answering the phone, I don't know. He's supposed to have, I thought at one point that he had an office in Countryside during the last election, but I'm not sure. But his mom works in his constituency office. So I would have expected him to have a constituency number. And this is where, Minister, I'm going to just put you in pause for one quick second and do a little bit of commentary here. But this is precisely where our MPs need to be organized. They all need to have constituency offices. Now, I know it is extremely difficult sometimes to get a constituency office in your constituency, because Minister, yours technically, is that Prospect or that's Red Bay?
No, that's in Red Bay. The front of Marina Drive is Red Bay.
So you see, Minister Turner, she's not even technically in Prospect. She's in Red Bay, but that's semantics because she's got an office that's a few steps from Prospect. So you all can still find her. It's a good location, top of the road. So, sometimes you gotta work it. The Red Bay MP, somebody said he had, somebody said he had a home office the last time. You shouldn't be having people come to your house. Being an MP is akin to running a business of sorts. You should be professional and have a separate location. You get a separate budget and all those sorts of things. Run it right. You know what I'm saying? Account for all of your bills. Keep all of your receipts that you can present to Parliament. The Parliament office, who now pays for all of these allowances, give you a monthly allowance and all that sort of stuff. Some people like to hire family to work in their constituency offices. Personally, I don't think that that's a good idea. First of all, who would want to work with a spouse? Like, I don't know about y'all, but I mean, most of y'all don't like your spouses, even when you see them 2 hours a day, much less, you're having to be their boss and give them direction. I know some people like, oh, I can only trust family. Well, that's kind of sad. But sometimes you need to keep that professional relationship with someone where you need to say, hey, why are people saying that the office phone isn't getting answered? Because, that's what I'm paying you to do. And people can't reach and, respond to emails. So I think you need to find qualified individuals to work in your constituency offices, because that will reflect on you ultimately. If nobody's answering your phones and you don't have a proper email address and you haven't advertised where your office is and no one knows how to reach you, all I can say is the day y'all buck up, politicians, on the right person running against you, because some of y'all won last time because you had a bunch of fools running against you. But the time you have some really decent competition, y'all are going to be in trouble because you're not managing your affairs. You're all about optics. You're all about running on a talk show, talking pure foolishness. And when it comes down to the actual work, there is something that is missing at the constituency level. I'm not talking about your position now. If you've got an office in the glass house, you got a whole slew of civil servants who are doing their jobs. So that may or may not reflect on you. I'm speaking in your capacity as just an elected official. So, Anya, I'm sorry to hear that the minister has been unreachable. I have sent him your message, and hopefully, and this is the other thing too, is I've always encouraged MPs, like I know they have their personal number, but when they become elected, they should get a phone number as an MP and have people direct people to that, have people managing the WhatsApp messages, because you get so many messages, you can't do it yourself. So you might have to hand off the phone to have people answer and respond. And
yeah, and at the beginning, I was averaging, let's say, 350 WhatsApp messages an hour. It was almost impossible. And I know until I got the office sorted out and it was properly manned, that's the whole reason for a constituency office. Now, It is a fine line. It's a balancing act, because some will say, well, during the campaign, you found yourself at my door. You answered my call. It's the campaign. It's not that you're any less after you've been elected, but you've elected the elected representative to do your work. Now, once you go through the process and you go through the office, people have gotten either stuff done without me even touching it, or they get the audience with me as they so require, because Thursday is constituency days. Last week, I saw 3-4 people that wanted me, but I was there. I was there. It's best if you make an appointment, because, as a minister and minister of health, with COVID regs and everything else, there are times that you have your entire constituency day planned out, and either you're called in by the premier, emergency meetings. It happens. But if you run, as you rightfully say, a professional office and it's structured, when you're given an appointment time, you are seen. That's your one-on-one with your MP. But 24 hours a day, just because of a cell number, it is humanly impossible after you're elected, which is why we have our assistants.
Yep. Very good. So we have Ruby, who's just waking up. Good morning, Ruby. She says, I slept in. Charlene says that's correct. It needs to be vetted properly, and some just want handouts consistently in high style life at others' expense. Amanda says, are we able to rewatch the show? So yes, Amanda, this must be your first time tuning in, but I was mentioning this at the top of the show at 7:30, multiple ways to watch. YouTube, Facebook means you can always go back to those platforms and watch it. And I was also telling people that we do put it on the website as well. So if you have a hard time like finding it on social media, just go to the website, the category, the Cold Hard Truth, and you see all the daily shows are listed there as well. So even if you have to go back a week and two and find previous shows, you can certainly do that. So Leanna says the NICE program, no more handouts. So I don't know. Normally we have something coming up during Christmas for the NICE program. So we'll see if that's on tap this year. I suspect that it probably will be, Leanna, and we will certainly keep you guys updated as much as we can. So Anita says some people really expect too much. Wow. I mean, they do. And listen, like I said earlier, everybody is in the same boat to some extent. Even people who have funds and money and whatever, they still have expenses. You know what I'm saying? So don't assume because you see somebody on honest hustle and you think that they're rich, that they don't have expenses and they don't have, and a lot of those people low key help a lot of individuals. You just don't know it. But you also need, as an individual, to take some accountability and some responsibility for your own life and your own decisions. A lot of people say to me, Sandy, you gonna have any more kids? I said, no, I can't afford any more. Right. I said to my husband this week, I said, we should adopt a kid because it's not really, I suppose things could be cut and we could squeeze in another child, and to help another child who's in a less fortunate position, I think would be amazing, as opposed to just having one of your own because you can. And, he kind of said he's not opposed to adopting a child. We'd have to really look at the logistics. We have one child in private school, and I can tell you, he's like, oh, but how are we going to afford 2 kids in private school? Because he jokingly said, oh, so that kid's going to go to government school. And I said, no. I said, you can't adopt one child and have one child going to government school and one in private school. That's like so wrong. Right. But of course he's kind of cheeky. But I had to think
That's
about
putting it into perspective financially, Sandra, is what he did.
Exactly. Because I'm like, damn, I'm already. So I told him he got to get a second job twerking on a pole or something to afford that. So.
Oh my God.
So anyway, and he's not really twerkable material. So, he's not into that lifestyle. So, but yeah, I mean, it is, there are challenges that people have that might not always be apparent to people on the outside. So I think this position that only take what you need and no more, and share when you have extra, whether it's food, like I was saying earlier in the week, we always have stuff in our garden. Like we only eat so much. So if I notice we have an abundance, we pack up little stuff, we will take to people, give to people. When I clear out my closet, I get new stuff. I donate, because there's nothing wrong with the clothes really that I'm necessarily, changing out. It's just I've been wearing them for 10 years or whatever, so I need a refreshing wardrobe. But somebody else can get good use out of those clothes. The material's good, we can definitely find ways to pass it forward, to play it forward, and to assist each other. But at the same time, I want individuals to start taking accountability for their own lives, for their own finances, for their own way forward. I saw a mother of 3 the other day saying how hard it is being a mother of 3 in the Cayman Islands. She can't afford food, this and that. And the first question, and I'm going to be, y'all know I'm completely honest. If one thing I am on this program, you might not always like it, but my first thought is, why do you have 3 children if you cannot afford it? I wouldn't have 3 children, because that is a financial burden. Try feeding 3 children, try, uniforms, this, that. It's like, and you're always in this mode of having to beg people for something. And who wants that? Although I think some people become very used to asking for handout. It's unfortunate because then you pass that trait on to your children, where your children are always in handout mode. And I have seen this even within families where the youngest little children at 4 or 5 years old, they get used to just begging people because that's all that they witness. That's all that they see. And that is so sad. I mean, I didn't grow up in that environment. My aunt was like, you want something, you get up, you work hard, you get your education, you put yourself in a position in life where hopefully you can have a half decent job. But even with all of that, you still have to make smarter decisions. And as a woman going around making these no good men who are not going to support their children, pile you up with children that they may or may not pay child support for, you got 2 of their 10 or 12 kids, that's nothing to be proud of, So I just want to encourage women, because I feel like we don't have this conversation enough about birth control options and family planning and all this sort of stuff. You make the decisions because it's ultimately your life. And the children that you bring into this world have to be your first priority, but you start to make better decisions, that don't put you in a position where you end up on the face of the compass saying, oh, I have 3, 4 kids and I can't feed my kids. And you become, you get 15 minutes of fame for a story. How are you helping yourself? Are you going to school? Are you trying to improve your opportunities in terms of job prospects and all this sort of thing? Listen, I feel so passionate about this that we need to start teaching our young ladies how to take control of their lives, take control of their reproductive health and of the decisions that they make, and stop allowing a community full of men to dictate to you, oh, you can't use birth control, you must have all these children and blah, blah, this and blah. No. Have what you can afford. Let's be honest. And not just money, but have what you can afford to spend time with. Every child should be growing up with the opportunity in the evening to spend one-on-one time with mommy and daddy. It shouldn't be, oh, you're so busy, you're working a 12-hour day, you come home, you're tired, you put your feet up, you're pushing the kids, in the bath and straight to bed, and they don't even get to see you and know who you are, and you don't get to know them and their little personalities. That isn't fair to them either. Anyway, let me pause it there. Minister, we also now have transitioned to the lifting of pretty much all of the restrictions when it comes to travelers coming to the Cayman Islands. So let's just quickly review what announcement was made on Friday as it relates to the COVID regulations.
Yes, and I'm excited that that is now in effect. And the COVID travel regulation and control and management of COVID have all now been pretty much, have been repealed. And which means that unvaccinated visitors can come to our islands, and also there's no longer a need to have a travel declaration to enter the Cayman Islands. What needs to be taken away from this, though, is that the Cayman Islands as a jurisdiction is leading this charge in allowing unvaccinated non-Caymanian nationals to visit our shores. But it's not the same when you're leaving the Cayman Islands and going to the U.S. So people need to do their due diligence, because right now the U.S. states only Americans can come back, or persons holding an exempt letter from not being vaccinated can enter. So in this whole COVID sphere of things, we, the Cayman Islands, is leading the charge now in removing the vaccination requirement ahead of the U.S. So that's a huge takeaway for us. It bolsters back the tourists who want to make plans for coming for Christmas travel, because there is a lead time out, and it tells definitely the persons in that industry to be prepared with what we have seen. And we're looking at the global prevalence of positives, is why we have actually been able to pull up the expiry of the regs, because they were due to expire the end of this month. But we were that confident, based on statistics, to be in a point where we can make an informed decision to just retract the COVID regs ahead of time. I know a big thing too was schools starting back now. Where does that leave the wearing of masks? Again, based on the prevalency rate in our islands, in our local community, we're looking at our hospitalization, those who are really, really sick, and we don't feel, in consultation with the medical officer of health and the CMO, coupled with everything that's going on locally and internationally, that it's any risk in mandating masks. But however, we're just transferring the personal responsibility onto people. If you know that you have a vulnerable family member at home, someone who's immunocompromised, it's still your choice to wear a mask if you so desire when you're going to church or the supermarkets, and nobody should look at you differently, because that's your personal choice. Now, for older people's homes, place of imprisonment, and healthcare facilities, we are still recommending that is worn, because, of course, they are at risk. So those are the areas, and it's COVID management, number 4. That has continued where mask wearing is concerned in those places where the operators of those places can say you need to wear a mask. That is good until October 24th. But all other regulations are no longer applicable where limits are concerned: indoor, outdoor, inter-island travel, all of that stuff. But, when you look at it, Sandra, what we have been inundated, Ministry of Health and Wellness, for the year and a half that I've been in this position with COVID regs. It's been very time consuming, and I want to thank my ministerial team for definitely stepping up to the plate and never wavering at our responsibility and making sure that the health and safety of our islands is key. When you look at what was predicted in the early days, how much deaths that were forecasted, the Cayman Islands is a blessed jurisdiction, and it is the way in which it was managed from those who were there before. We have taken on, and it is our steam. It is our primary focus now that we have the vaccines and we have the booster uptake, and people heeding to that call earlier in that we're in this most disposition to live with COVID because of our high community vaccine rate. But what it has also shown as well is the gaps within our public health, the importance of surveillance, the importance of making sure at a national level that we have the skill sets. We now have an epidemiologist, so we don't have to question what's happening medically in our community to make informed decisions and to execute certain regulations and laws if the need is required. So it has also been able to highlight the career and job opportunities within our healthcare sector and look globally how we're looking for nurses. The Cayman Islands has a school of nursing. And where can that be enhanced and all of that? Look at the genomic sequencing, a whole lab. You think it's just for COVID? No, that can help us with communicable and non-communicable diseases and making us be able to get results on the point instead of sending samples across the field waiting weeks. We are in a position because of what we have done to bolster our independence in surveillance and public health with all that we have experienced that is highlighted so much. And one of the other things as well that people need to know with this is that whether or not you're unvaccinated, should you feel that you have flu-like symptoms or you're just not sure, we're still encouraging people to do an LFT at home. It is still a notifiable disease. So if you know, and we know we got those people out there who know they're positive and they've never reported it to public health, confirm that LFT positive by going through the drive-through at Truman Baden Sports Complex. That's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, from 8 now until 11. I saw them did some PR on it. And that's a way of public health to continue the surveillance by getting that sample to make sure, is it still, you know, the strain, the variant, in case anything changes within our community. That's the only how we're going to be able to genomic sequence those samples. But we want you to be responsible. If you get tested positive on an LFT at home, go to the drive-thru, get a free PCR. Because remember now, it is public health. So you're not going to be charged for going to the drive-thru to get that PCR. And that legitimizes your reason for being home for 7 days, which is what is recommended. And you can prove that to your employer should they have doubts as to whether or not you were truly positive.
Right.
That legitimizes your reasoning for being home. So we're happy as a government to be in this position, and myself and my ministerial team are over the moon because we can now focus on other areas, not to say that we're putting COVID aside, but with these relaxation, it definitely gives us some more breathing room to deal with other pending legislation. We got our national health policy that we have to look at. We're looking at the public health, which is publicly known and approved by cabinet, the separation thereof. And great things are in store for Ministry of Health and definitely for our healthcare and improving that for the people of these islands.
Do we have, I know monkeypox is obviously, the World Health Organization has declared that as a definite concern. Do we have any monkeypox vaccine available on island? Because I know this is something that in the US, for example, they found that there was actually a shortage of, because vaccines expire. They only last for so long.
Yes, they do.
People are not using them. And there's not a uptick on, you know, production and stuff like that. And you find yourself all of a sudden in the middle of verging on some sort of a pandemic. There's a rush to try to get vaccine out to market. So do we actually have, I know we haven't had a first case yet, but you know, do we have any monkeypox vaccine on island?
The last time I checked with our CEO and with public health, that they were expecting a shipment, and like you rightfully say, it is a byproduct of the smallpox vaccine. I would be more than happy to give you an update or have the medical officer of health come to speak to that a little bit more. But that was about 2 or 3 weeks ago when the question came that there was rumored we had a positive case and that we don't have any vaccines here. But I was assured that they were either coming the end of that week or the following week, which would, once I confirm now, would mean that we have a small amount. But as you rightfully said, how right now that is being treated, with what discussions I've had with the CMO in regards to monkeypox, is that we are monitoring it within our community. We know that it's within the region. And when you look at the Cayman Islands and you look at positive cases reported to WHO in our region, it is amongst us in the region, but not proven here. And that we're putting the necessary guardrails in place in order to deal with it should it find itself on our shores. What is proposed is that only those persons with direct contact of a positive monkeypox case will be encouraged to get vaccinated, and that's within 5 to 7 days because of the limited supply. And for definitely those persons who may be immunocompromised, those would be the ones over 50, the older population, to get vaccinated. But to say that it's going to be handled at this very point, like how we went and did this mass vaccination drive for COVID, no, that is not the intended purpose from what we have received from public health and other officials in the management of monkeypox.
All right. Very, very good. Let me just, I've got some confirmation of some stuff. So Minister, thank you so much. We know that you're extremely busy. At some point, we do want to have you on to talk a little bit about home affairs, which has been added on to your area of responsibility. But we've got other things that we need to get to this morning as well. So Minister Sabrina
great.
Turner.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes. And one more thing before you leave. I've mentioned and I've talked to you about my 50 by 50 plan. People have different goals. And so I'm happy to say that Minister Turner is going to be joining us on our wellness journey. So folks, if you know, on Thursdays, which is tomorrow, we'll be talking a bit more about what was accomplished during this past week, where we're at with things, and the way forward. So I've got some names already. If you don't know what the 50 by 50 plan is, tune in tomorrow morning. We'll go over it for a little bit. But the Minister of Health and Wellness is completely on board. She doesn't mind losing a few pounds as well. So do you have a goal in mind? Do you have a goal in mind for how much you'd like to lose?
I'm going to aim realistically for 25 pounds, understanding for those persons as females, we gain a little bit more whether or not we want it. But I have been fighting with hypothyroid for a number of years. And once that's under control, but it's all about balance and the wellness. And I like to get on a challenge. You feel more accountable and we can do it together. So yes, I'm excited to join the crew. And at least I want to be one of those ministers of health that at the end of my tenure, based on the people of Prospect, they can see I didn't gain in inches, but I'm healthy and I've lost some.
Yes, very good. So she's in, folks. We wrangled her in. I think Minister Jay Ebanks is supposed to be joining us tomorrow. So we're going to work on him as well, because he got a couple pounds too that he might want to lose. So yes, a lot of our MPs
we should get the whole team.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
we should try to get the whole cabinet on board and caucus members as well.
And you know what? MPs are just like us, folks. They got poor eating habits. Some smoke, some drink Pepsis for breakfast. We all have these.
Sometimes we got to eat on the go. I've been in places where my breakfast is still in the car because you're either returning calls or, but it is hard, but it's those moments where making a healthy selection, grab a granola bar, get a fruit or something instead of driving up to my famous kitchen, Burger King, because it's easy, but it is what it is. And we got to invest in our health. And that's why I'm on board with you.
Yep. Awesome. So we'll be in touch with you, Minister. Catherine says that she's been trying to get in contact with you, both her and her sister, and they've not had any luck. So just repeat the contact details for the office, Catherine, so you can call the MP office today.
Catherine, 1 second, 746. Let's get this here. I don't call myself too often. So it's 746-9314.
All right.
746-9314.
All right. So give them a call after 10 o'clock this morning, Catherine. And she said that Thursdays is her constituency day. So see if they can't fit you in perhaps for tomorrow, if the schedule has some availability. So Minister, again, thank you very, very much. We appreciate you coming on the program this morning, and have yourself a wonderful day.
Thank you. Likewise.
Right.
Take care,
folks.
Bye-bye.
So I do have a number of comments that are coming in. So I'm going to go back a little bit into the comment section and read some of the comments. So Cameron, I had to chuckle. Cameron says, here's Sandy teaching MPs how to be an MP. Listen, it's always easier to look from the outside in. And I must admit, no one understands what it's like to be an MP unless you're actually an MP. But I must say, from my perspective, I feel like I'm MP adjacent just because y'all think I can work miracles. I mean, in fact, I'm sure there are things that you guys send to me that you would never in a million years send to your MP. Everything from like marital problems. I'm like, honey, child, I don't care what you and your husband doing. I mean, y'all just come, and sometimes people just want advice. I feel like I'm like this little sage or something, and I'm not really all that wise. I've made my fair share of mistakes in life. And so I can only give you my opinion. Some things I'm really, I have to take a hard line on. But people listen. Yesterday, somebody reported a down line down in Prospect, and they're like, I don't know if it's a power line, if it's a whatever. And the one thing I must say, which I guess is why people are messaging me, is that I do have connections. And you know what I'm called in this modern day era? It's called being an influencer. So when I call you or I message you, you pay attention. That's all it is. People are like, oh, shoot, Sandy's messaging me. Let me respond to her. So whether it's Flo, it's C3, it's whoever, when I message, they do kind of pay attention. So the first thing I did was like, that's maybe a flow line. I don't think it's a power line, because the power lines don't normally go down in the ground unless we're like in a major storm, right? And trust me, you'd never want a power line going down because you'd be electrocuted. So, I messaged Flo and I said, hey, I think this might be one of your lines. Within minutes, they had guys out there checking it, and they said, nope, it's not us. It's actually a C3 line. Thank you very much, Flo. Then I went to C3, go straight to the top. I messaged Randy. I said, hey, Randy, one of your lines is down, Marina Drive. Here's the location. Here's the video. Here's the picture, blah, blah, blah. Because cars were actually getting tangled up. Y'all don't pay attention when you drive. Cars were driving through the down line and getting tangled up in it. I was like, what? Y'all, you can't see a line in the road? But anyway, and then he was able to put his guys on it right away. So I get, Cameron, why people reach out to me and why they message me. And I also objectively can look at a lot of things that MPs do and say, yeah, maybe that really isn't working for you. You need to rethink it. Some MPs have gotten too comfortable. When you're an elected official, never listen, your britches, pull it back into perspective. Never get too comfortable with where you are. Because need I remind you, in the world of politics, the people who you claim have so much power will exercise their power on you and remove you. Greater men than you have been moved in the political arena. Let me just put it that way for those of you who need that message this morning. Don't think you're special just because you won 1 or 2 or 3 elections already. Adjust your attitude, humble yourself, and recognize the people put you there, and they sure enough will take you out. And so the way that you carry yourself, the way that you talk to civil servants, I keep telling y'all, check yourself, because I hear a lot. My ears are to the proverbial ground. And you piss off civil servants, that is the biggest voting bloc in this country. You're pissing off their friends and their family and the person down the road, because that civil servant goes, oh, you know how he treating civil servants at the office? He's not professional. He's this, he's that. He's a know-it-all. He thinks, listen, people talk. And I even have ears and eyes overseas. Non-Caymanians, they work with different agencies. They are, consultants, whatever. They still talking to me, honey Jill. And they're like, oh, that minister, he's having some problems, isn't he? I love when my English friends call me and they're like, oh, Sandy, what do you think about this MP? He's got some issues, I'm not quite sure he's going to get back in. What do you think? And I said, well, we'll see. But you need to be careful, because people do talk and people pay attention and people are listening, and your reputation does precede you. Nobody likes to know it all, Cameron. And I certainly don't profess there's a lot that I don't know anything about. And so, it's also, I think, for a lot of the MPs, it's a learning curve. There's some MPs who are in there for the first time. And that I always said, it's such a balancing act being a minister and an MP at the same time that I don't recommend it for most people, not their first term in. You need to kind of get your feet wet, learn the lay of the land, and then take on a ministerial position when you're ready. Having said that, some people have really stepped up to the plate. Give the Minister of Health and Wellness her credit. She has really stepped up to the plate. She's doing well constituency wise, and she's supported by a really good team as minister. And, I think that if we were to grade them, she's at the top of the pack, pun intended, in terms of her grades, right? There's some others who have more experience in the sense that maybe they're 2 or 3 terms now and they've got a ministerial position. And I'm looking at them going, oh, you're not ready for this because of other reasons that are personality driven. So they've allowed it to go to their head, for example. They're hanging out with the wrong political allies and company that really makes them look bad and advises them. And, they start to act like their shit don't stink, excuse my language, but it's true. And people are paying attention. So I would encourage all of you to just, if I had, a thought of today when it comes to politics, is just humble yourself and remember who put you there are the same ones who can take you out. And some of the things that they do, which is so obvious, like, when they're upset with me, oh God, they make it so obvious. I'm just like, y'all are like little children. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to put you in timeout. But they make it really, really, somebody said to me, oh, this particular person was always calling in and jumping in your show and blah, 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 blah. What happened now? They don't want to come on. And I'm like, I said, listen, honey, let me tell you what I tell them, because this is the God's honest truth. I tell this to all of them. I said, try and remember that I don't need you. This show is a success with or without you. This show is here to help you bring your message to the people. And if you don't want to do that, then that's on you. That's your business. Because every day we have an average of 5,000 people that go back on just Facebook alone and watch our program. That's not radio. That's not YouTube. The reach is far. Now, this is what I told MP last week when I called him on the phone. I said, when it comes election time and then you want to be ringing off my phone, oh, Sandy, can I come on? You're going to be coming on at a premium price. In fact, I'm probably going to charge you double because of your stinking attitude during the 4 years that you were in office. Now you can come on at no cost to you. Take advantage of it. Talk about stuff that's happening in your ministry. I am so shocked that we have Impact Wednesdays, which is today. And I say to them, you can come on anytime you want, talk to the people. And you have to beg them to come on. Oh, come and tell me. Nobody ain't begging you. You're nobody special, despite what you think in your head. You're an elected official. And like I said, the same people who put you in are more than capable of taking you out. And because you lucked out this time and had some fool running against you who nobody wanted to vote for, that doesn't mean that when's the next election, 2025? 23, 24, or 2024? When is it? Whenever it is, that does not mean that you're going to have that kind of luck again next time. Be careful. Greater men than you have fallen by the wayside. Good morning, Kevin. Kevin says, I think Bernie Bush is a prime example. West Bay North needs new leadership. Where's my kaboom button? Kaboom! That is what you call a mic drop moment. I haven't heard from Bernie. I guess he's upset with us too, because we were the ones who outed that whole situation with fire and blah, blah, blah. Listen, I can't help him. Again, humble yourself, people. Maybe some of these guys have recognized that after being in for a couple terms, maybe they're done with politics and they just don't care anymore. So they aren't planning on running again and they need to be stepping aside. I hope that is the case, because some of y'all you've not earned a vote. You don't deserve a vote. And, during election time, I am very straight out with who I think y'all should be giving your vote to. And I don't pull no punches. Y'all saw what happened last time. I don't pull no punches when we talk about somebody's performance. And so, yes, there are some people who are checked out. They're not there at constituency level. They're not leaders. They're just collecting a salary and occasionally show up to 1 or 2 events. And the civil servants and the ministry are doing their jobs that kind of make them look a little bit goodish. So, Kevin, I don't know what else to say, except that any newcomers who might be looking at a seat, consider the list. Consider where you're going to run, honey child. Miss Darlene says, shut on her legs, ladies. She also says that, Sandy, my parents had 6 and 7 children and never asked for anything. When it was time for back to school, every one of us would go to the store with a sense of pride and do our shopping. What I would say, Miss Darlene, a lot has changed since you were a child. It's expensive to raise children. What is the average cost now of raising a child? Over $200,000 or something ridiculous for the life of that child. And that's in the US. That's not even Cayman, where it's even more expensive. So I understand we all come from, I come from a family of, I think it was 8 children. I don't even know. I'm the youngest, Jill. But listen, if I was being honest with you and I said that, having 8 children, even then 40 something, 50 something, 60 something years ago was a great idea, I'd be lying to you, because I could see where even within my own family, there's a very different dynamic because there were that many children and that many mouths to feed. One grandmother took some children that were for a particular, husband or whatever, raised those. They got a very different lifestyle. They were treated differently. The other children would be referred to as bastard children. Because they were born out of wedlock, and the grandmother was like, I can't take no more. I mean, I think most people who had that many children did not necessarily grow up in an ideal situation, but the context was also very different when you had a community that was much more supportive of families. You had a family that was helping you raise those children, so you could rely on aunts and uncles more. Now everybody's on their own hustle. Everybody has their own children that they're trying to raise, and they may not have the time or desire to help you with your own. So I do think, my apologies, I do think that a lot has changed in the world, and it just isn't what it used to be anymore. So I think 2 is the ideal number. I don't think anybody needs more than 2 children. So Everton says the government should pay for that. Are you paid for it and they reimburse you? I'm not sure, Everton, exactly what that was in relation to. Irvlyn says she doesn't mind working with her spouse. They've been doing so for 20 years. No, it can work, but not for most people. Everton says, I think that if you have an elected office, you should have an office. If you are an elected official, my apologies, you should have an elected. If you are an elected official, you should have an office, see your constituencies, or so your constituencies can come and see you. And that's all you get, contact with your people, not by mobile. You want people to come, sit down, and you have a conversation. Yes. So I'm all for that. I think everybody should have a constituency office. So Sharon says, so some of them take the $5,000 allowance and no office. Yes. I don't think anybody except the premier, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I did email the office about this some months back to clarify a few things about the allowance and stuff that they get. The only person that I'm aware that isn't taking the allowance is the premier, because he had his office when he wasn't an elected official. He paid for staff to be there, and he has maintained that out of pocket. Now, I don't know if that's changed recently, but that was the case up to a few months ago. So he is not taking the allowance for his elected office. So Sarah says that Chris has an office at Countryside. I did reach out to Chris just now, and he says that you can contact the Boddentown West MP office at 936-7228. He said he was out sick last week, but his back to school efforts were done from his office. So again, this is where we get you answers as quickly as we possibly can, because when we message them, if they ignore us, they're ignoring the people to their own peril. But yes, one listener to the program says, good morning. Calling Saunders is a waste of time. He don't even offer sensible help. Oh, geez, and peace. All he does is divert and let go. I must say I'm impressed with Sabrina and how she is acting as minister. Please don't disappoint. And they go on to say, too much shade today. It's overcast today. Basically saying that I'm throwing some shade at these MPs. And I am happy to throw shade at these MPs because I am trying to help them. I'm throwing shade in the name of love, y'all. I'm trying to help y'all get your shit together. Okay? So it's constructive criticism. And yes, it's shade at the same time because y'all know the truth is what it is. So Ms. Moya says Minister Turner's been making consistent efforts in her community. Keep it up. We recognize your fortitude. Ms. Sue talking about NEU. Now, they were supposed to be coming on the program. So Minister Andre Ebanks has not yet been on the show. And we were hoping that he was actually coming on this week because his team had reached out to talk about the revamping of the NAU program. It's a big deal. And y'all want to make sure they understand. Now, Ms. Sue says that they make you go through all these hoops and it's unfair to try and get help. It's very hard to get them everything they require. Yes, so many people know how to do it easy and some get so much who don't need it. The problem, Ms. Sue, is one of what we were saying earlier, people who don't need taking and, they don't mind sitting down because they don't have anything else to do. They don't mind sitting down and going through all the hoops. And so the people who really do need, you've got to have that same fortitude. You've got to have that same, I'm in need. If I got to fill out the paperwork, I got to fill out the paperwork. And, hopefully they'll be streamlining the process to make it a lot easier. But they make you go through the hoops because there have been so many other people, Ms. Sue, who unfortunately have taken advantage of the system. And we are spending millions of dollars per annum on NAU. And I've mentioned this before, and I'm glad to see this is one of the things they are going to be adopting, is they're going to now force NAU recipients to volunteer and to give back to the community. Remember when we had that conversation months ago? I'm like, no NAU recipient who doesn't have a job should be staying home all day, breeding and having more children, and you ain't got nothing else to do. If you were out there volunteering, helping at the Humane Society, one dog at a time, helping at the elderly home, wherever, right? You'd have less time in your hands to be having all these children that you can't afford and burdening the system even more. Or sitting home drinking all day, smoking pot, and doing nothing productive with your life. So I'm glad to hear that that's one of the things that they will definitely be looking at. Ms. Darlene says, Sandy, where is the sense of pride? We're growing a generation of people that see that it's okay to depend on government and others to live. Yes, child. That went out the window a long time ago. Thank you, Romelia, for clarifying that Paul is the gentleman. I didn't ever know his full name, to be honest. That we were talking about yesterday, and the minister says that she doesn't know anything about that. But I can assure you that even if she did, she wouldn't be able to comment on it anyway. There's certain things at a personal level that, ministers and elected officials can't really speak on. But I hope, and I'll mention it to her. And again, she's not a civil servant. The people who can do something about the Paul situation are the people who work NAU, the mental health professionals, and whoever allowed him to come back here in the Cayman Islands without any checks and balances in place. Those are the people who need to answer to why Paul is back sitting on the streets of the Cayman Islands yet again, after so much effort and time and resources went into trying to get him some help. Janetta says, do you know if children have to test before returning to school? And if it's not really mandatory? So it's not mandatory, Janetta, but I think it makes good sense. Because, they've been away from each other. Now they're back in classrooms. So you guys know how this is going to work. The first couple of weeks, your kids will be getting sick and the whole 9 yards again. So continue to do the sensible things that we know have worked that has kept COVID at bay. Reminding your children to hand wash. If they want to wear a mask, wear their mask in high dense areas, where there's a lot of people. Listen, these are the sensible things that you need to do. The U.S. has announced that the updated vaccine should be available after Labor Day. So that's coming probably later in September, early October. I'll be getting my fourth shot then, another booster. And child, if I have to go to the U.S. and stand in line, I'm going to go and get it because I don't know how quickly Cayman will be getting theirs. But yes, these are the things that are going to help. So Charlene was asking, what's the consequence to a parent that's aware of their child or children being COVID positive, but still sends them to school? Parents, you shouldn't be doing this. And I think it's in the public health law or the regulations, what the penalties will be. I'll see, Charlene, if I can get you that information. But these are offenses when you do stuff like that. So there's still a mandatory responsibility for you to report COVID positive. So the minister, Chris Saunders, has confirmed that his office is located at Countryside. So call the number 936-7228 His MP office is still in Countryside. So thank you to the person who pointed that out, and he has confirmed that it's still there. So Ms. Donette says, good morning, Sandy. Honestly, I must say that Minister Turner is making a big impact in our Prospect community. Thank you so much, and keep up the good work. So thank you again for that comment. Miss Pat is here. So Ms. Pat says, good morning, Sandy. I live in West Bay. My MP is in the North. Can't get in touch with the office. When you need help, there is no one answer. That is bad. Sorry to say. Remind me, who is West Bay North again? Help me out here. I can't, oh gosh, there's so many. I can't remember all 19 of them, to be honest. So some talking about sending shade. Somebody's like, please, nobody don't be up in that office. Y'all need to get it together. I mean, I am telling you, the next 2 years will fly by very, very quickly, and you're going to regret not being organized and not having your constituency office properly sorted out. So I don't know who West Bay North is. So Charlene says West Bay Central MP does her walking. I think that's Kathy, right? Cameron says just don't stop serving turtle and Concord parliamentary sessions. Keb says, Sandra, dish the details about the Cayman Areas Board. Yes, the tea's getting cold. All right, let's do it. Jaron is here for it. Jaron says that's because no one wants to be on Mile Road for the wrong thing. I hear you, Bobo. Good morning, Jaron. Good morning. Cameron says they're going to want to come run Mile Road 6 months before election, smiling up in your faces. Child, some of them don't even give themselves 6 months. Oh, I see. We got to block somebody on the YouTube. They don't even give themselves 6 months. They come a month before thinking that, oh, that's all I have to do and I'm going to get elected. Debbie says, give yourself more credit. You did the groundwork to be able to influence others. Aw, thank you, Debbie. Yes, and that's true. I mean, there's been a lot of work that has gone into this, honey Jill. Nikki says, Sandy, you've been given a platform to do what you do at the right time and in the right place. Cayman should be ashamed of themselves to have a news station. Should be ashamed of themselves to have a news station. Thank God for Sandy, the influencer. Maybe to not have a news station. Maybe the word not was missing. But, you know, we do what we can. And every evening at around 9 o'clock, you can get news on YouTube and Facebook. And then I'll be playing it here shortly for your morning cup of tea as well. Cameron says the people is the strongest arm of government. Amen. Yeah, y'all don't realize your power. But I'm telling you, we're going to be exercising it again come shortly. Denver says, good morning, Cayman's Oprah. Just tuning in. Aw, that's a compliment. I just wish I had Oprah's bank account too. We could do so much more community work. Charlene says the people have that power to move anyone. It's also our democratic right. Y'all just need to make better decisions, I feel. Like when they get up at the last minute on the podium, and like I said, it's all optics, right? They want to sound good. They want to look good. They want to tell you all kind of BS. And they get you in a hoo-ha-ha. Oh, we get a song. We get a jingle. Let's dance. Let's blow a horn. You get caught up in the fever of election time. And you miss the substance of it all. So we did it this last election, and we're going to do it again. God's willing, we'll all be here. In another 2 years, we're going to remind you of the substance of the performance. And some of these MPs are legit failing right now, whether they know it or not. And I don't care if they're my friends, if they're failing as a minister or they're failing as an MP, if they can't get it together here in short order, come election time, I'm going to be like, yeah, you got a problem, child. Jaron says, I wish I could send a screenshot of the MPs I've reached out to, and they still haven't answered the message 7 months in and have read it. Child, we wouldn't be surprised. Debbie says a lot of MPs need to check themselves before they wet themselves. Touche. I love that one. And he's saying, Jaron says he's going to save it all for the election time. Child. Election gonna be hot. So Jonathan says, where's the Minister of Health and Wellness for that guy that's back in town? So Jonathan, the question was asked of her and she doesn't know who he is. So we are going to bring her up to speed. But again, that's not something that she really necessarily would interfere in. I'm sure she's going to have maybe a personal opinion on it. But the fact that agencies allowed someone to bring him back here with no plan in place for his care, and he's back on the streets, is really, really disturbing. I'm going to post something about it a little bit later on. I haven't decided if I'm going to do a story or if I'm going to actually post it on Facebook. But sometimes we have to shame people, including his own family members, for people to do right by this young man. And so that's going to happen today, Jonathan. You just hold on. Cameron says, pay to play. Get him, Sandy. Yes, that's how this works, honey child. You get 4 years because you're a minister to come and pat yourself on the back and talk about all the wonderful things that your civil servants are doing to make you look good. And when it comes election time, then the freeness is over. The free ride is over. You got to pay to play. And to come on the number one talk show ain't going to be cheap. Miss Sylvia, good morning. Says, where is his family and the community? Please go back and listen to yesterday's show, because we are raising the alert at the community level, but his family is part of the problem, because the family was the ones, at least a family member, I understand it's an aunt, was the one who went and said, oh, we want to bring him back. I don't know who the hell we are. And he was allowed to come back here with no real plan for his care. And to me, that is despicable. Speaking of despicable, Sylvia also says, don't expect MPs to do everything, but I expect them to mobilize the community members to offer community empowerment. We're still waiting on district councils. I don't know how well district councils are going to work. I feel like that's one of those things where we have high hopes, just like single member constituencies, and it's probably going to fall flat in its face. It's going to be more money, more government bloat to be spending, wasting money on. And it's going to be completely politicized, because everyone is going to see being in a district council as being politically adjacent to these MPs, and everybody, oh, I want to be head of my district council. That it's going to be another power grab, and now another power play. My apologies. And, an opportunity for just a bunch of foolishness to be happening. So I don't know, like, you got to really dig deep into these things. And what often happens is they're only as good as the weakest link on the chain. So y'all need to be careful what you're asking for. I'm not convinced. I'm convinced that people have power, but I'm not convinced that district councils is the way to distribute that power and to actually get stuff done. I think that's just a way to spend and waste more money. But we'll see. We'll continue talking about it. Denver says, great. That should weed out those collecting that don't need to be collecting any and holding a job also. Linda says, Chris Saunders is useless. He has made promises to our community and it's not delivered since day one. Oh, Lord. Sounds like Chris might want to come with the cold, hard truth. Sue says it's supposed to make it easier now. So Minister Andre has said, all right, it hasn't yet been deployed, but we'll see. Okay, so let's talk about Denver. Try restarting whatever if you're listening through Facebook, because there shouldn't be any audio issues. So try just refreshing your feed, restarting it. Sandra says, I understand that he's a big help to some people in the community. Oh, Bernie is West Bay North? Oh, Lord. So that was another comment about Bernie? Oh, geez, on peace. Lord have mercy. Poor Bernie is in trouble. I don't know what to say. I think Bernie has checked out. Maybe he's done with politics. West Bay North is up for grabs. What a hot mess. Anywho, Miss Lucille Buenos Dias, she says the list that they're sending home to parents is disgusting. Woman made the government cannot give the children for free. My great-grandson is on at least 6. I got the list. I'm not looking for handouts, but the list to me, he's getting for the old school. I have nothing, but I never send any of mine to beg government, and I bend my back to help my children to help. It is not children that's feeling the pinch. People is they're crying every day and is not saying they are lazy. Look at these taxi drivers. Yes, I mean, there's still a lot of people who are suffering, Miss Lucille. And this suffering is worldwide. I can assure you this is not necessarily something that's unique to the Cayman Islands. And this is why I say we need to help ourselves. We need to help people in our community as best we can. But yes, we cannot expect government to do everything. So Cameron says a mix of Shakespeare and Bacchanal. All right. Keb says, so with the failing of MPs, is this why Jude Scott resigned? All right, let's talk about it. First of all, before we get to the Cayman Airways situation, let's focus on what's happening in Cayman Brac. So Jonathan says, we don't even know if CMR will be around for the election because if Miss Cayman charges are dropped, you better believe they come in for CMR. Child, please. How can the charges be dropped? She has been charged. You don't just drop charges once they've been charged. She will go to court. She's scheduled for a trial. So if she is found not guilty, then that is, I guess, anything in this world is possible. Once there were unicorns with magic on earth, or so people believe. So anything is possible. We have not spoken anything on Miss Cayman that has not been true. So coming for CMR, who? We're supposed to be afraid of little Tiffany? Jonathan, allow me to set the record straight. She might be able to go around kicking people in the nuts and beating people up, but she's not going to be kicking CMR in the proverbial nuts. Okay? We know a thing or two about the law, and we know a thing or two about doing the right thing by people, and no one has unfairly picked on her. We've just discussed what is the truth and shared our opinion on it. So we might not be around for some other reason. Nobody can predict the future. But in terms of they might drop the charges against her, you have no idea. We've spoken to her victims. The charges are not going anywhere. No one is going to influence these victims who've been traumatized by this whole situation. So, in fact, what they should do is expedite the trial because their scheduled trial is going to be too close to her departure from Miss Universe. So if the DPP's office had any sense, because this is now a public interest case, they should bring the trial forward so that a decision can be had well in advance of her potentially having to compete. And the victims have a right, because now they have concerns about how this is going to be handled by the judiciary. They have the right to request these sorts of things. So Jonathan, we are not afraid of Tiffany. And I don't know who they are that's coming for CMR, but I can assure you the best have come for CMR. People with pockets deeper than you don't, millionaires have come from CMR. And in the end, everybody goes back to their corner with not a dollar being exchanged. It don't work that way. Okay. So we will remain steadfast in the truth. And as Aunt Lottie always used to say, the truth will set you free. Mm-hmm. Yes. We don't, like I said, we may not be around, but it's not going to be because of Tiffany. We're not going to worry about her. I pray for that young lady. I pray that she gets the help that she clearly needs. Cameron says, I love unicorns. Leave them out of this. Ciao. Let's move on. This situation in Cayman Brac. Oh, Lord Jesus. Y'all know that I try my best to give the RCIPS as much benefit of the doubt as I possibly can. Huh? I don't know what to say, but sometimes it has become very, very clear to me that they are disconnected from reality. Okay. And this disconnection happens because, and no shade at Chantal, who's the head of their PR team or whatever, she just came to Cayman and got this job. I forgot how she got it. Nice enough young lady, but she don't know the Cayman context, certain things that they don't understand. And so I am disappointed, and I know a lot of you are as well, and how this case with the child in Cayman Brac has been handled. Let me be very clear. Y'all were here on the show listening in real time when it all unfolded. The child was missing. Then we heard that she probably has been found. It just brought me to tears as a mother, as a member of this community. It was a horrific moment in all of our collective lives. And I can't imagine what the child's family members, grandparents, fathers, even the mother who we're questioning with a side eye as to what her real deal is, right? She has still lost a child. So, I mean, where's my phone? We've heard all these stories about, she likes to hit the little crack pipe or cocaine, snorting or whatever the hell she's up to. But despite that, I mean, normally parents, even for all of their flaws, even if they're drug addicts, even if they're snorting cocaine, a lot of them still love their children at some level. So whatever happened to this child, I'm sure she's also hurting. Now, if she knows more than she has said, This is where, as a mother, now you need to do the right thing for the sake and the memory of your child. Okay? Because you've been making some poor decisions, hanging out the bar while the kid's in the car. So if you went out that night, just hypothetical, left the baby at home, came back home and found her dead, and then tried to cover your tracks, you and the boyfriend who's now arrested for what? Cocaine possession. If y'all just were trying to cover your tracks and it was an accident, come forward and tell the police what happened. Do that much as a mother. Okay? Because this will eat you up if you do not. I'm telling you. Everybody's like, oh, 1 minute she's upset and suicidal, next minute she's on social media. You can't live your life living a big lie like this. So whatever happened to that baby, step forward. Somebody knows. And you're hearing all kind of stories coming out of the Brac. Oh, the boyfriend's sister was pissed off at her. Maybe she did something. I don't know. But what I know is the way in which the RCIPS has handled this case so far. And I get it. I get that it's delicate and they're investigating. They brought in experts and there's enough that they're not telling us. But from a PR perspective, it has been handled wrong. Huh? So the same way I told you that the Ministry of Tourism is clueless about what is it called? Crisis management, crisis PR, and the whole Miss Cayman fiasco. We've emailed them multiple times asking for a statement and have not even received an acknowledgement of our email. We emailed the committee and for days they ignored an email. That is not how you handle things. So the last time we emailed the RCIPS on this matter was over a week ago. Let me just tell you exactly what they said at the time. And, when you see me asking you about the status of an investigation, rest assured that means the people in the community want to know. I'm not asking you for optics, right? So I emailed them again last night at 7:39. Here we are at 9:26 a.m. Still no response. Well, maybe they get in at 10 o'clock. I don't know. Then we emailed them on, let me see here now. August the 12th, saying, anything that you can tell us about where the investigation is so that we can update our listeners. Their response are officers are continuing their investigation into the case. What the hell does that mean? That means nothing. So let me try and understand this, right? This is where the police kind of get on my bad side. And I have to be raising them up and batting them up and getting kind of faced with them. When a young man who was troubled, had a troubled path, involved in gang activity and whatever, when those people get gunned down in the streets, y'all can have a press conference asking people to come forward and giving updates about, the body was found over here, so many bullet wounds, blah, 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 blah. But when a child has been found dead in Cayman Brac, we don't get the courtesy of even a press conference or press briefing on this. Something wrong with you all over the RCIPS, because there's some fundamental things that you simply do not get. Talking about falling asleep, Tracy says fell asleep, poor her. The RCIPS has fallen asleep at the steering wheel of this situation, at this investigation. People in this community are very, very concerned about what really happened to that child. They want justice to be done. And I know you can't necessarily compromise your investigation, and I'm not saying the RCIPS would ever do that, but at the same time, give us something. Give us a press briefing that said, we understand the community's concerns. We are doing our best. These are all the experts that we brought in. We brought in a pediatric forensic specialist. We did this, we did. The people deserve to know. This child, unfortunately, has become a child of the community because of the very tragic circumstances in which she has passed away. So for the police to not even understand, Damien's saying, so no results from the autopsy, they're not saying anything. We don't know anything. And when you see me keep asking the same question, can we get an update? That means the people want to know. What do we have to do? Go protest in the streets for the RCIPS to say something? And sometimes you don't say a whole lot, but give this child the same amount of time that you would give a gangbanger who got gunned down in the streets. Give this child that same courtesy of a little press conference or something. Is her death, was her life, because she was only 2 years old, is her life not worth anything? Because that's how the community is beginning to feel. You see, this is where what y'all need to do when you hire people to work PR in some of these agencies and departments is you need to hire people who are connected to the community and who have a clue. Because I didn't think that this was something that I needed to tell the RCIPS. Do y'all not know how this would affect the community? Cayman Brac is a small community. This has the waves that this has sent through not just the Cayman Brac community, but all of the Cayman Islands has been immense and tremendous. And so people want something. Anthony and Damien saying, can we also get an update into the dog that was murdered? Canine Baron, that's another thing. RCRPS, lips sealed, not saying a thing. But remember now, they didn't even bother to tell us that the dog had died until media had asked about it. Shout out to Wendy Ledger. I'm just like, what? Your PR department needs a little bit of help. I'm not trying to be unfairly critical, but y'all really not up to scruff. Not at all. So Sweet says a child situation is more sensitive. Well, everything's sensitive these days, child. Miss Cayman is sensitive and delicate too. But it doesn't mean that you can't say something. You know, show to us that it's a priority. This is where now they could learn a little bit of something about optics. Have a press conference. Give us an update. Tell us what's been done in the investigation. When can we expect reports? OCM Production says maybe we need to go protest like Laval to get an answer. Lord have mercy. I don't think that kind of protesting probably going to be quite what we need. We don't need to be twerking in town and what do you call them shorts again? Batty riders or whatever. I don't even know if that's the right word. But yeah, we don't need to do that. We can protest in other ways. JD says, not sure if we have the right people working for us as police. Well, yeah. Michael says, screw the dog. We need to know about the child. The dog situation can be raised after. Well, I mean, for sure, a human life is not the same. But Michael, I think the point that people are making is here's two very high profile situations, and neither of them have we heard anything about. So it's like, what, WTF? So Jaron says, I have one thing to say. Somebody needs to see what's happening with DOE. Oh, Lord. Cameron says, I'll tell you what, RCIPS should make public the next budget. Akita laughing. She said, are they Batty right? I think that's what they call them. I don't know, but we don't need to do that kind of thing. But here we are demanding, RCIPS, y'all paying attention today? We are demanding an audience with you to find out where the situation is with this child. Listen, you have an open invitation. The last time the governor was on the program, he said, tell the commissioner of police that he must come on Cayman Mall Road. We told him that, and all now. We not see him. We not see none of his team, nothing. It's like they're afraid of the cold, hard truth. I don't know why y'all are afraid of the cold, hard truth. We do not bite. We're not going to assault you. Right? That's not who we are. We're not going to box you in the face. We don't assault police. We're not going to kick you in the nuts. We're just here to ask the real questions. And that's not something you should be afraid of. Child, if you're not afraid of Miss Cayman knocking you down in your police, you shouldn't be afraid of coming on this show. Debbie says the RCIPS is populated with expats who just don't give a damn, here for a paycheck. Jonathan says, stop lying, Sandy. You know what they are. Jonathan, you try to behave. You mean those Batty riders? I couldn't remember what they were called just now. Oh no, Jonathan, we weren't allowed to wear those where I was raised, honey child. You would not bring that kind of foolishness around, Aunt Lottie. Those shorts better be well close to the knee for you to be wearing them. And at my age, trust me, I don't own any such shorts. And if I did, I would only wear them ever in my house. It was like my house, part of my house, walk around shorts. Oh my gosh, Tracy says they're hot pants. Jonathan, you're just too bad. He says they're called Batty Riders and Pony Printers. I've never heard this term before. What the heck is a Pony Printer? Pony Printers. That's a new one for me. All right. RCIPS, just give us an update, please. Give us something meaningful. Can we get an interview? Can we hear your voices? Anything on the situation with the child? Please, I am begging you on behalf of the entire Cayman Islands community, especially the Brac community, the family, give us a break here. Cameron says Sandy grew up in America, so it'd be Daisy Dukes. All right, listen. All jokes aside, I'm begging the RCIPS to please give us an update on this situation. How long has it been? Has it been over a month yet? We can't hear nothing? Come on now. If you haven't found anything and you're saying, okay, it's an accidental drowning, which none of us really believe, just tell us that. Tell us something. Or we need another week. We need another month. Test results are still pending. Please give us something. Okay? Cayman Airways. What a hot mess. So last night, yesterday, I started to get information that Mr. Jude Scott resigned as chair of the Cayman Airways board. Well, I don't personally know Jude Scott, but as someone said, I'm going to read this comment to you. Ah, Lord. Okay, so, oh, Lord, the comments on WhatsApp. Hold on. Oh, my God. Okay, so someone has given me a definition of what these pony printers are. It says when your pum pum print out in the short, Lord have mercy. Okay, that I'll read that after. Oh, so it's like having a camel toe, whatever they call. Oh, okay, what mess. All right. Somebody said ignore Jonathan, please. Oh, hot mess. RCAPS is only interested in one thing. This is a comment. Tickets for foolishness. What a bunch of donkeys. Like you said, if there's responsibility, no other department to get to the bottom of this. And they have well and truly botched it as usual. Wow. All right. So the child was buried over the weekend, by the way. We heard that there was some incident at the Alexander. Now, another online thing said that somebody tried to commit suicide. I checked with my sources and I was told that that was not true. That's why we didn't post it up. And this was in relation to the mother. She didn't try to commit suicide, but something happened at the Brac, the Alexander Hotel. And I don't know where the baby service was, but, yeah. Oh, it's this Saturday. I thought it was last week. Oh, no, it's this Saturday. Oh, my little tweetum. So it's this Saturday. Listen. Okay, so she wasn't married. It's this coming Saturday. It just breaks my heart. We just need some information. And again, I'm going to beg anybody that knows what happened to this child, right? And a lot of people think something happened. They don't think this child just walked a mile and washed up on the beach. They think she was placed there and somebody tried to make it look like she walked a mile by her. No, come clean. Your soul will never be the same if you have to sleep with this. And I know some of y'all hardcore gangbangers, murderers, and whatever. But an innocent child, that should haunt you. You should see that every waking and sleeping moment of your life. Okay? And police, we expect better of you. Step it up. Morning, Miss Lulu. Miss Lulu says, I love your dress. May I have it? It's actually just a top, not a dress. But Strong Will, thank you. Says Sandra, the funeral just thank you, Strong Will. So it's this coming Saturday. Tracy wants to know if Cayman is still under British rule. Yes, we are. We're considered overseas territory. Siobhan says, stop now. I'm going to get sent home. Anthony says, this should be standard protocol to issue public statements like ? Yeah, you would think. But, the RCIPS act like having a press conference is like so unusual and such a big deal. And, they should be having regular communications with the public. You are supposed to be The police service. Remember when you change your name because you're like, oh, we're all about service in the community, blah, blah, blah. Well, let's prove it. Let's show us where the service is going to come in. Charles says, I always believe in communication. Being silent only brings speculation or hearsay, or he say, she say. Exactly. Good morning, Debbie DaCosta, joining us from New Jersey. How are you, my dear? All right, Cayman Airways. Well, this sounds like a hot mess over there at Cayman Airways. Lord have mercy. So Jude Scott, well-respected, former CEO at Maples and Calder. He's the current CEO. I think he's retiring from that post or stepping down at the end of this year of Cayman Finance, audit partner at Ernst & Young. This man has had a professional career that is enviable, well-respected gentleman. Like I said, I don't personally know him, but, very, very professional, right? So when you hear someone like a Jude Scott steps down from a position such as chairman of the Cayman Airways board, you should know. And then he sent a very detailed letter as to why he was resigning. And what I'm hearing is that a lot of it is criticisms of the minister and the ministry not doing certain things. Yeah, this is concerning. Okay. This is very, very, very concerning that this particular Ministry of Transport and Tourism, is on this show in the limelight yet again. Wow. I need to get a hold of the letter. So here's the thing. If you have that letter, get it to me as soon as possible, because I need to hear and I need to see exactly what Jude Scott had to say. Because he's not someone, it would strike me, that is going to make a knee-jerk reaction or response. He is a calm individual, thinking about things carefully, analyzing situations. He's probably going to do his best to hang in there, to work with people. This is what we need. He's got a finance background. He's probably the right person to be at the helm of the Cayman Airways board, because let's not forget that, Cayman Airways has struggled financially over the years. COVID certainly would not have helped. We subsidized Cayman Airways to be able to say that we have a national airline, and that's great, national pride. But we also need to try to put Cayman Airways in a position where it's less fiscally reliant on government and more financially viable. We have all these beautiful MAX 8 planes, so on and so forth. We always talk about hiring qualified people on boards, people who are like Jude Scott. And so for him to step down, I must say, was surprising to me. And it is very, very concerning. Someone said to me this morning, I'm going to read this comment because I think this summarizes it quite nicely. They said, if Jude has resigned, then know that something is drastically wrong with the airline. He is a man of principles, honest, fair, and highly experienced and well-respected financier. He is not going to stay if they will not take sound advice, or if they're corrupt. Will never be caught being associated with this type of company. Frightening. I also have heard, because this is his second stint at chairman, he resigned under the UDP government as well, because of shenanigans that were going on then. And I also understand that at that time, he is a type of person, he is so principled that he would not, because board members, listen, some of them just want to be board members in Cayman Airways so they can fly for free. And some of them have lifetime free travel, because back in the day when they were on the boards, that's what was offered. And they could travel in first class and no cost to them. And so they love that. That's why they want to be on certain boards like Cayman Airways. Scott has never been that man. He's never taken advantage of any of those so-called privileges, even when he was on the board before. He can afford to pay for a ticket. And if he has to travel on the national airline, he pays for his ticket. We need principled individuals, as we have pointed out before, on these boards. So I'm concerned about this. And so I need to see that letter. So anybody who has that resignation letter for Mr. Jude Scott, please get that over to CMR ASAP. Our anonymous tip line is tips@caymanmallroad.com. Email. You can WhatsApp me privately. Nobody else has access to the show number, 936-2626. And you've got my personal WhatsApp number. If you have it, you already have it. Just message me. Send me the letter because I need to read it, dissect it here in this program, and see exactly what is going on. Okay? All right. So you guys know the Port Authority, also falling under the same ministry, has been a hot mess for a minute. Mr. Paul Hurlston is there. You know, he sent them something saying, we got a judgment dropping today. Hey, this is good news. Start time for the caption fixture. Delivery of sentence judgment. Ooh, y'all, things getting hot this morning. All right, listen. So they sent out something, I think it was on Twitter or whatever. You know, I get these news notifications. So I sign up for a lot of news notifications so I can keep track of what's happening all over the world. Okay. And so, quite interestingly enough, I saw that the port had something up. And I said, oh, I said, let me have a look at this. So this is a tender. Hold on. I want to show y'all something here. Let me know. This came in yesterday. Let me just find the link. And I'm not trying to pick on these people, but you need to get your lives together when you're running agencies and departments and government is actually paying you. Okay? Because when you don't have it together, I'm going to call you out. It's as simple as that. No, sir. Here, you know, I should make this a trivia question, but we don't have time for y'all to guess how the incompetence just runs so deep. So the Port Authority put up a tweet. I'm going to show y'all the pages here. So give me a second now. Yep. Okay, let's look at this. Because y'all are embarrassing when I see stuff like this. This is why people go around saying that we live in grass huts and grass skirts and whatever the foolishness to be trying to say to insult Caymanians. Because this is an example, and I don't know if this is a Caymanian or who responsible for this foolishness. Okay, because I mean the port got people trying to become port director who they better go sit their behind down. But here we go. The PACI, that's the Port Authority of the Cayman Islands, invites tenders to bid on a forklift. For details, check our website. Well, what do you think happens when I click on the link for the website? Oops, a big oops. The requested page has not been found. So some idiot, and forgive me for insulting anybody who might think that's an insult, but you know, you're kind of an idiot. When you put up a link in a post, you put out a tweet, and then the link does not even work. Nobody updated the link on the website. So the invitation to tender link is completely blank. Port Authority, can we please ask you to get it together? This is not amateur hour. There are people who might be interested in actually, you know, bidding on this forklift because we know the equipment is rusted and falling apart. So they probably need this forklift really ASAP. So why does the link not work? This is amateur hour. Okay. Cameron says they already have a buyer for the fork. Well, I hope not. These bids and whatever, this process is supposed to be transparent. What kind of foolishness is this? Seriously. The link does not work. Port Authority, I'm begging you to get it together. All right, quick commercial break. And then we're going to get into a news segment for the evening.
Hi, para sa mga kababayan dito sa Cayman Islands. Ito na naman ang oras ng taon. Ihanda ang inyong mga Christmas box para ipadala sa Pilipinas. Simula sa $65 para sa isang solong 200 pounds box, ito ay deal ng Miracle Brokers para sa lahat ng residente ng Cayman. Ang lalagyan ay on-site at handa nang i-load at ang deadline ay sa katapusan ng buwan. Sa limitadong espasyo, kailangan mong kumilos ng mabilis. Makipag-ugnayan kay Kuya Romy ngayon sa 345-916-0355.
In the mornings, no one wants to miss listening to the Cold Hard Truth or reading CMR. Cayman's #1 news platform has made your morning commute fun again. Pass this time with the Cold Hard Truth on weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Talk radio that's engaging, entertaining, and enlightening. But be careful. Some mornings it's so hot, you might run into a bit of trouble.
All right, folks, welcome back. Hopefully somebody can fix that. And if you are interested in providing a bid on this forklift, then go to the website and do so. Oh yes. Oh my gosh, Cab, I'm so sorry. Oh, hey, child. I'm not finished with Cayman Airways yet. So in the Cayman Airways story, yes, Jude Scott has stepped down. They've replaced him immediately within 24 hours. They didn't say anything, very much under the radar. They've replaced him with Chris Bergstrom, former pilot with Cayman Airways. He's a business owner. I don't know, again, much about Chris, but I think most people recognize the financial elements of Cayman Airways, which is where they've always had the biggest issues, right? Trying to balance that budget and stay within, targets and whatever. And so I do not know if Chris has that wealth and breadth of financial experience that could really help a national airline like Jude Scott would have. And no shade on Chris at all. He's a very nice man. He certainly has worked for the airline, but being a pilot and being on the inside, running the books and that sort of thing are two very, very different things. So also embedded in that story is another story, which ironically we first heard about a number of weeks ago, where Cal Thompson has been given the position of captain, and he's due to retire in 6 months. So I had multiple people messaging me about this, and I must admit, I see Mr. Cal. I don't really know him. I think we probably had maybe one conversation on the phone ever. And so I don't know what this is really all about, but it seems like somebody at Cayman Airways just wanted him to be able to retire at the status of captain. And there are other people there who have said, Sandy, this isn't fair, because there are other people who were there longer in the sense of continued seniority. They sent 4 of them on this simulation, advanced simulation training and whatever, with the expectation that one of them would have been promoted, because this captain position is opened up, that one of them would have been promoted up into this position. They're like, why are they giving someone who is, they can't fly past 65, who is going to be captain for 6 months? Because in 6 months, he's going to be 65 years old. I think his birthday is like in February or whatever. And it is a valid question. And inquiring minds do want to know, what is this really all about? This is just about giving him something to retire on, so he gets that title. And I don't know what benefits you get when you retire and you're a captain. What does that even mean? I don't know. Accolades? Like what is this really all about? Because something not adding up here. And there are people who are legitimately upset about it, that this is being permitted to happen. Can we get an explanation from Cayman Airways as to why this decision was made? Who made the decision? Was this a board decision? Was this a decision within the organization from the CEO, Mr. Fabian Worms? Where did this decision flow from? And please explain it to the people, because the people, inquiring minds, want to know how this came about. He's had an illustrious career. I think he's been a pilot for over 40 years. Now, sources told me, and again, I'm going off my sources because I don't know, that he was at the national airline for quite a number of years. He was terminated from the national airline. And then at some point they became really, really desperate and brought him back in their desperation. Well, I guess these things happen. I mean, there are people who get fired and are brought back, right? So I don't know all the details of why he was let go from Cayman Airways in the first place and all that kind of stuff. They obviously brought him back, and he's, I guess, continued to fly over the years. But there has to be some equity in the process, right? So when things, how are these things decided upon? If they're not done on merit and they're done on some kind of nepotism, or we're friends, or we're this or we're that, I mean, I don't know. So I was checking to see when he left, because it was a little bit confusing to try and get this information. So I had checked with other people, other pilots and other people. And one person said that they started Cayman Airways in 2004 and he wasn't there at the time. And so he came back in 2016. So I don't even know how long he was gone for. But surely that was not a continuation. If you're terminated, you don't get to continue your tenure after you're brought back many, many years later. So here we go. Ooh, honey child. Thank you, Jesus, for the good people who always can get me the information that I need. And y'all know we got contacts all over the world. We be messaging people in different time zones and all kind of stuff. So here's what we know. He left in 1991. Oh, that was a long time ago. And returned in 2016. What? That's a lot. How many years is that? Mathematicians, pull out your calculators and do some work. Wow. So somebody says, Sandra, I've been flying for 12 plus years and in aviation for 15. And I can't tell you one airline that would allow a man to come back and just bypass and fly a jet after 25 years. This was the straw that broke the camel's back for me to go boys club. Wow. When you ask the right question, the things that you hear. So these are the things that are happening within Cayman Airways, why we're losing some of our young, talented pilots, because when they see foolishness like this, they're like, oh, no. We can go overseas and get better jobs and be paid more, and it's much more fair and equitable. And oh, honey child. Somebody got the years for me. How many years is that? Nobody did the math yet. So 1991, y'all slow this morning. What's going on? 2016 to 1991. Child, the good old boys club is alive and well. That's 25 years? Jesus. Is it? Oh my God, that's a long time. So he was gone for like a really long time. Wow. Now that is shocking. That don't make no sense. Jesus, take the wheel. That is crazy. But let me tell you the God's truth. What is the saying? Puss and dog don't have the same luck. You better believe it. That wouldn't be me and you, honey child. Coming from Georgetown Central. After 25 years, Cayman Airways would be like, who? Go sit down. They probably wouldn't allow you to sit on the plane as a passenger. That is legit crazy. Shameful, really. The things that shock and surprise me every single day. I'm legit speechless, because I thought maybe he just left for a couple years. I didn't realize it was 25 years. And on top of it, he was actually fired. Anybody knows what he was fired for? I mean, we're not trying to dredge up 25 years of history, but now you can legitimately understand why the pilots who are there now are like, what the hell is all this? All the first officers who are there, who should have gotten promoted, who stayed there, are like, what? Ooh, honey child. I understand their frustration. Denver says something is seriously wrong for Mr. Scott to resign from the Cayman Airways board. I believe that. The Zoe says, I'm just here sipping my swanky. Too hot today. Hydrating. Cab says Denver. Well, for starters, they upgraded a guy who's supposed to retire in a few weeks over younger Caymanians who've been waiting for years. This is what we're talking about. This deserves a response from Cayman Airways. Wow. Let me tell you something. Nepotism has got to be alive and well in this country. And again, no shade to Cal Thompson. He's a well-respected businessman. He owns the Wyndham Hotel. He into all kind of stuff business-wise, but that don't make no difference to me. Something stinks to high heaven in this situation. Morning, Rockette. How are you, beautiful? And it isn't fair to the younger Caymanian pilots, and I could see why they would be feeling away. Wow. Cameron says when you have to clean under the rug, you'll never pick it up standing in the middle. Mazine says he's the owner of Wyndham Hotel and money talks, girl. Jeez, peace. Wow. Denver says, why is he there? It's common knowledge he doesn't need a job. Well, I guess now it's all about accolades and titles and position. And I don't know what benefits you get when you retire as captain, but wow. No, sir. Paul says, morning, CMR. Sandra sounds like a friends and family connection. Shall I tell y'all something not quite right? Yeah, and he also owns, he has a real estate company. So Cal is into a lot of stuff. Let's be honest here now. I'm sure the man works hard, but he comes from a long line of business people. So, his dad, it would have been Norberg Thompson, right, from the bakery. So, you grow up in business and you have certain opportunities. Listen, he's a Caymanian and we want all Caymanians to succeed once they're working hard and whatever. But this situation it doesn't sit well with me. I feel something is quite off here. Something not right. Rocky says Minister KB is too busy giving away free flights to his unemployed siblings. Free flights? How the hell can he give away free flights? From where? Is he paying for it out of his pocket? Well, I don't care if he's giving away free flights and paying for it out of his pocket, as long as it's not costing the people anything. So, I mean, I need some clarification on that one. Sue says, got that right, Denver. He doesn't need the job. It's his hobby. And listen, not everybody who works and not everybody needs a job. Some people just love what they do. It's not about the money. It's like the premier. Y'all think Wayne Panton needs a job? You think he needs that money? Now, listen, we've got a lot of people who are elected officials who actually need that money. They got bills to pay. They got mortgage. They got all kind of stuff. I'm not trying to put Wayne Panton's financial business out there because I don't really know it. But it's fair to say that as a former retired partner at Walker's and his other business endeavors, Wayne Panton not hurting for no money. He doesn't need to be an MP and he doesn't need to be premier. I genuinely think that this is a man who, is trying to do right by the country as best he can. Now, a couple side steps when he was with the progressives that wasn't quite looking right. But, the heart's in the right place. We're going to give him a chance and see. Doesn't mean that we shouldn't give, if Cal Thompson wants to fly, if he loves to fly, then that's on him. He may not need it. He's got his real estate company. What's the name of the real estate company again? Oh God. Remax? No. Is it oh my God. What is it called? I can't remember. Oh God, I can see where they were down in that complex there. We actually used them to purchase our house. I should remember who the heck they are. Anyway, whatever. He has Century 21. Thank you. Oh Lord. Ciao. My throat. I'm starting to choke. All right. Let me see what else I can find out for tomorrow's show. Stay tuned for your news, please. And this is a hot mess of a situation. I'll bring you more updates tomorrow.
Hello, I'm Kevin Watler, and this is your CMR Daily Buzz. Police are asking for help to locate missing 14-year-old Brianna Ebanks. She was reported missing on Friday and has not returned home since. The teenager was last seen at a business on Eastern Avenue on Friday morning but did not attend an appointment later that day. She has since been in contact with family members but still has not been located by the police. Anyone with information on her whereabouts is encouraged to call the West Bay Police Station at 949-3999. The Cayman Islands Customs and Border Control Service confirms that a vessel with 6 male migrants arrived in Cayman Brac at approximately 10:45 in the morning on Tuesday. The 6 migrants have disembarked the vessel and are being processed in accordance with CBC's established protocols. A reception was held recently at the Cayman Marriott Beach Resort to celebrate 133 scholars who have been granted an Education Council Overseas Scholarship for fall 2022. The reception also allowed the students to meet with other scholars and network with interview panelists, Ministry of Education staff, and members of the Education Council who were in attendance. The Education Council Scholarship is available to all Caymanian students interested in pursuing higher education, and for more information about various grants and scholarship offerings, or to apply for an Education Council Scholarship, visit the Scholarship Secretariat Unit website at www.moescholarships.gov.ky. Around 40 students attended the 9th Annual Health City Healthcare Explorers STEM Day Camp. The camp, which was held at Camana Bay on Saturday, August 13th, provided the students between the ages of 10 and 14 years old with opportunities to participate in sessions at learning stations focusing on nursing and vital signs, healthy eating, and radiology. Among the features of this year's camp was a video providing insights into arthroscopic surgery, followed by a question and answer session with an orthopedic surgeon. The Healthcare Explorers STEM Day Camp has been hosted by Health City since 2014 as part of the organization's promise to provide educational opportunities to students in the Cayman Islands with programs that encourage students to pursue rewarding careers in medicine and allied health. Police continue to look for Luisto Eusebio Hernandez in relation to firearm offenses. He is considered armed and dangerous and should not be approached. If seen, call 911 immediately. The search is still on for 2 missing men. 53-year-old Noel Paul Manning has been missing since June 24th, and 26-year-old Adrian Williamson has been missing since July 6th. Now you are asked to contact your nearest police station if you see them. Anonymous tips can be provided directly to the RCIPS via their confidential tip line at 949-7777 or via their website. More information on each of these stories can be found at caymanmallroad.com. Now for a Storm Ready Cayman update, which is brought to you by Home Gas. The National Hurricane Center is issuing guidance on a large area of low pressure located several hundred miles southeast of the Windward Islands. The area of disturbed weather is currently disorganized, but environmental conditions could become conducive for development when it enters the Caribbean Sea in a few days. Residents and businesses in the Cayman Islands should increase preparedness levels and monitor the system as it progresses. CMR's Storm Ready Cayman updates are brought to you by Home Gas. Now for your CMR weather update, it's brought to you by WG Charters. Sunrise at 6:08, scattered thunderstorms are expected. The temperature rises to the high 80s, but it will feel hotter than that when the high temperature is at 88 degrees Fahrenheit and the relative humidity is at 72% like the forecast calls for. The temperature will feel around 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds east-southeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour and the sun sets at 6:46. At nighttime, the temperature falls to the low 80s. Looking forward, keep an umbrella or raincoat with you, but overall similar weather conditions are expected. It's summertime, so those hot days and warm nights with scattered showers are very typical for this time of year. CMR weather updates are brought to you by WG Charters. They offer private boat trips for a great price, so we encourage you to support them. Now for some regional and international news. The two top officials of Hungary's meteorological service were fired Monday after an inaccurate rain forecast prompted the postponement of a fireworks display on the country's most important national holiday. The firings of the head and deputy head of the National Meteorological Service prompted accusations of political interference from Hungary's nationalist government. The fireworks display, which is known as the largest in Europe, was called off Saturday afternoon based on forecasts that said extreme weather was likely around the 9 p.m. start time. However, by evening, the storms had not materialized in the capital, but the show, which typically draws more than 1 million spectators, had already been rescheduled for the next week due to weather safety concerns. Health authorities in the Democratic Republic of Congo declared a resurgence of Ebola following confirmation of one case in the country's eastern province. Health authorities have successfully stopped several Ebola flare-ups, according to the World Health Organization's Regional Director for Africa, whose staff and health authorities in Congo are working to stem the spread of the disease. A journalist who ran an online news program was shot to death Monday in southern Mexico, making him the 15th media worker killed so far this year in Mexico. Fredid Roman was gunned down in the state capital. Roman's program, Reality of Guerrero, focused heavily on state-level politics. He also wrote a column. Guerrero is a state where drug gangs, armed vigilantes, and other groups often clash. 2022 has been one of the deadliest ever for journalists in Mexico, which is now considered the most dangerous country for reporters outside a war zone. As Jamaica experiences a massive migration of teachers, leaving schools scurrying to fill vacancies, recent statistics indicate that Jamaica has the second highest brain drain index among 177 countries worldwide. Business and economics website theglobaleconomy.com indicated that Jamaica has a human flight and brain drain index score of 9.1 out of 10. According to the Global Economy, the index indicator covers available data between 2007 and 2022 from several sources. The website noted that human flight and brain drain indicator considers the economic impact of human displacement for economic or political reasons and the consequences this may have on a country's development. The higher the index, the greater the human displacement. That's it for now on the Daily Buzz. Thank you for joining me. Please stay safe and God bless.